Continuing on down your top 5 quarterback prospects here, Shaun, is Tyler Shough.
Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with Mikey McNuggets and Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam the Bull. We got a lot to get to today. Anthony and Steve on the other side of the glass. Earl up in his perch. We have no water today.
I have water.
I'm very frustrated by that.
Do you really?
I forgot to buy a case of water.
Do you get parched like that?
I do. I do a lot of talking. I need to have water.
I do
a
lot
TV
of
station used to provide us with water. They decided to stop providing us with water.
Yeah.
Tell
now
Earl
either
from the
me
kitchen,
or
we'll pay him
Jason
back.
or Tyvis buy cases of water.
I wish I would have remembered.
I bought one before.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, and Mike.
I wish I would remember because I actually stopped at the gas station before I came here, and I didn't even think to grab the case.
I know. I meant to do it yesterday, and I totally forgot. And then on the way in, I was like, I don't think we have any more water.
We have Justin in, our sales guy today.
Justin, the sales guy, is doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing a terrific job. You've seen all these new sponsors the next couple of days,
What's this hat?
Is there a sale for water? Is there a water company
Yeah,
that
Justin,
would like to sponsor?
let's get us a water sponsor so we can have water in the studio.
Mike just wants to say water more.
Water.
Water? I said water like I'm from New Jersey. It is what it is.
I don't think you
What
said
is it?
funny.
What
but
is
that's-
this hat that you wear?
It's my cousin's company, Triton Nutrition.
Oh, I
If you
thought it was
want,
Arizona State Sun Devils.
No, Triton Nutrition. Shout out to my cousin Ryan. If you
Yeah.
want some lifting gear, Triton Nutrition. They got a website. I think it's triton-nutrition.com. No
All right,
free
there you
ads,
go.
but
Well,
Triton
that's a
Nutrition.
free ad right there.
That's family.
That's family. That's fair. That's fair. Thanks to
I thought
everybody
it was the
that. Speaking of which, thanks to everybody that came out to Dewey's yesterday.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. We went in there for dinner. It was fairly crowded. It was almost full on a Tuesday night. So
That's awesome.
So thanks to everybody. I know a bunch of people texted me and said they were going, and a lot of people ordered to go. So thank you, everybody that contributed. All right, lot to get to today. We have Todd McShay, famed NFL mock draftologist.
I forgot G's question.
I know it.
You got it?
But it was kind of
It's a silly question.
I want it, but I want to.
It's not a silly
I want to
question.
ask because I don't.
But
I know he want to know.
So he wanted to know why.
Jalen
what does he
Hurts.
say now about Jalen Hurts?
No, he said that. I think he said
Jalen
that
Hurts is
Jalen
never going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And now, what was the point? What's the point?
Is he ready to admit he made a mistake?
Is that what this is about?
I think
if
that's
what this is about, I ain't answer. I'm not asking that question.
But you know what?
They're all wrong all the time.
Everybody gets it wrong sometimes. I do think if I were doing mock drafts, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I mean, we all screw up. There's nothing wrong with that. I always think it's good to admit when you make a mistake, and then pat yourself on the back when you get it right.
I thought he was asking, why did he feel that way about Jalen Hurts?
Well, I think it was, but I do think there was.
I think
the
he's
intent
trying
was to
to
kind of
get-
rub it in
yes.
his face a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know.
But G did a whole Ultimate Browns with a barbershop. Okay, that's what he did on draft experts who get things wrong. And his whole point is, when you evaluate these guys coming out, that doesn't mean that is what they are going to be.
Exactly.
The big point of his whole video was,
right.
In this particular instance, Todd McShay said, I don't think Jalen Hurts will ever be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And now he obviously just won a Super Bowl.
Right.
So what changed? And every single draft analyst, Mel Kiper Jr. was all on the Brady Quinn and Jimmy Clausen trains. That didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Back in 3 years ago, the Trevor Lawrence draft. That was supposed to be a historic quarterback last year.
They said he was
maybe not even one out of the five.
Wasn't Trevor Lawrence the best quarterback prospect to come out since John Elway?
No,
Well,
Andrew Luck
obviously
was.
he wasn't, but that's what he was being.
I know,
hyped
but
as.
I swear they said
Him and Andrew Luck were on that.
Here's the
score wise, he was up there with John
And that's why
Elway.
this whole process. Now, football is such a monster. All right, you need to do a read before we get further into. I know we get into the Cavs, but
No, we can do.
No, you guys can go.
okay.
For it, yeah.
So, football is such a monster that everything that the NFL does is covered beyond belief,
Yes.
right? And it expands every year. So the draft, which for many years, really even going into the early portion of my career, 25 years ago, was never a big deal in terms of, as a kid, I never talked with my friends about the draft. It was not something that was on our radar. After it happened, first,
I've been talking about the draft since I was a kid.
We're the same age. Yeah.
Grown up in an internet era. When I grew up, there was no internet. The only
people like I'm thinking of like Ernie Davis and all that. Like people was like,
what would anybody have known about Ernie Davis? Like, how would you know?
What do you mean? It was on TV, wasn't it? Syracuse wasn't on TV?
They might have been. I don't know.
You in New York. You don't know.
First of all, that's before my time. Ernie Davis
I apologize.
That's before my time.
Syracuse and New York City also are the same distance as
the point is,
Cleveland to
there were no mock drafts, or if there were, we didn't know about them. There was no way for people to communicate about players, really, beyond the telephone or a letter.
Okay.
So, it was a different
fair.
time. I had to get, as a Cubs fan and a Bengals fan growing up in New York, into the early 80s. The only way I got the score, especially for baseball, football, you'd watch the Giants or the Jets, and they'd show the scores, I think, every once in a while. I don't know if there was no score bug, but they would show the scores every once in a while. But for like the Cubs, I had to listen to a news station, and every half hour they would give the scores. But they would be like behind by an inning, but I didn't know that. Or I'd call a thing called sports phone, believe it or not. It was 976-1313. I still remember it to this day. You'd call, and every 10 minutes they'd update it with the scores of the baseball games. This is the Neanderthalish world that we lived in that some people want to go back to. I have no idea.
You're against Sports Center updates on the radio.
They're a complete waste of time. They were great when I was first getting to they're a complete waste of time.
Bull's right. Can you imagine if we did every 20 minutes? Like, by the way, the Cavs scored last night. The Cavs lost to
It's not
the
20 minutes. It's every hour.
You know why they still have why they still do updates on? Because the money they get for the sponsor is way more than they're paying the update person. Any update person is making no money, and so they're like, all right, we'll pay this update person, even though we don't need them, but we're going to charge an arm and a leg to sponsor that. And it's a way to pretend that the commercial break is shorter than it is, because it feels like you're getting content, which technically you are, but it's useless content. It's content that nobody really needs under the age of 80. That being said, the football has become such a monster, and it's so analyzed and overanalyzed. And now, I've been saying this for years, we judge drafts initially based solely on mock drafts that you respect.
Yep.
Because most of us have no clue. The NFL GMs get it wrong what percentage of the time? Forget late picks. Top 100 picks.
Oh, a lot.
What percentage end up being not worth the top 100 pick? Half? 60%?
A quarterback specifically, I saw a study over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So the last decade.
Yeah.
Less than 50% of quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round. So these are guys that people consider top-level talent at the most important position in the game. It was 37% had signed a second contract with the team that they were drafted by.
Right. And I bet you it's not that much higher at other positions. It's just a quarterback is more likely to maybe be drafted a little higher than he should.
You know where they get it right at a lot of the time?
What?
DB.
Do they?
Yes.
I know Jeff Okudah.
Hey.
He's on like a 16.
We ain't listen, we ain't about to do that.
The point is if the teams are getting it wrong all the time, then of course Todd McShay and Mel Kiper and Dane Brugler and all these guys, they're all going to get it wrong sometimes too. It's nothing to be ashamed of. They work hard. All those guys, I don't know any of them personally. I know Dane Brugler a tiny bit. I don't know the other guys personally. I'm sure Todd McShay works his ass off and studies all this stuff. But you're going to get it wrong. That's part of the deal. But there's so much groupthink, and now every fan. What's up, Earl? Oh, Earl, I love you, buddy. Look at Earl coming through. He got me a water. That's a good friend right there. That is a good friend. Thank you, Earl.
Interest times 2.
All right, I owe you for the water. Thank you, Earl. Oh, thank God, he's a lifesaver.
To Bull's point, I'll finish what you were saying, Bull. They all get it wrong. It's an imperfect science. If there was a perfect way to evaluate quarterbacks, they wouldn't miss on 63% of first-round quarterbacks.
That's right.
Over the last decade. And yes, I love G. Bush. G. Bush has said Amani Bates is going to be the next second coming of Jesus.
He
How
wanted
many
to pay
times?
Jameis 25. We've
We've
all
all
said
been wrong.
stupid stuff.
We've all been wrong many, many times. I have been wrong. You have been wrong. You have been wrong. G's been wrong. Jay's always wrong. Like, all of us are wrong all the time. That's the beauty of sports talk.
That's right.
It's the beauty of the show.
That's right. So I'm not going to bust Todd McShay's balls for getting it wrong. He was wrong.
And Todd's kind enough to come on. He does not have to come on with us whatsoever. Like,
exactly.
Todd's with all due respect to UCSS, Todd is at a higher level than UCSS.
Well, I would disagree with that, but you know.
But he's taking time out to come on. So
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I don't want to rub it in his face like that.
I needed to know what the question was, and I needed to know how to work. I was going to reword it to get the way he.
We could have G call in to ask one question.
That's true, but you know.
He ain't going to answer the phone.
If I text G now, will he answer by next Tuesday?
If I send him the link,
by next Tuesday?
By next Tuesday.
Yeah, by next Tuesday, yes, he would.
Gee, yeah.
I'm texting him right now.
He ain't gonna. I already texted him this morning. He didn't text me back, so it's done.
He might be sleeping.
Yeah.
You never know. He sleeps at all kinds of oddball hours because he doesn't sleep at night.
He realized he wasn't working today, so
So anyway, so that's where we're at with the draft. So obviously we'll get to Todd McShay, who did. I don't know when he.
It came out Monday.
Monday he put out a video where he thinks that Shedeur Sanders and the Browns are a perfect fit.
He wrote 500 words in his because he does a weekly newsletter and then 2 podcasts.
Who's the guy that's on the show with him? I don't know who that is.
His name's Munch. I don't know his first name, but it's another guy who does draft stuff.
Not Munch from Cleveland.
No, Mensch. Mensch. I said Munch. It's Mensch.
Okay, Mensch.
Munch.
All right.
And they do 2 podcasts a week. He does a weekly newsletter, and this Monday's newsletter was why Shedeur Sanders to Cleveland makes perfect sense. He wrote 500 words on it. He spent 15 minutes on his podcast, and he's going to come on with us in about an hour and 20 minutes.
And what is his analysis on Shedeur beyond that he's a good fit for the Browns?
That because of the Deshaun Watson contract,
they have to have a rookie
their best
quarterback.
chance to make the rest of the roster work within the financial constraints is with a rookie quarterback. The quarterbacks that Stefanski's had success with in the past aren't.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, what was independent of the Browns? What are his thoughts on Shedeur?
He doesn't think Shedeur would have been a top 5 quarterback drafted in last year's class, which he says there. But we'll ask him when he comes on. We'll have him expand on it.
That's true. Anyway, that's coming up later. But the Browns obviously, putting out a post yesterday that they were essentially moving forward with the stadium. Obviously, there's some legal hoops to go through in their, lawsuit with the city that's got to be dealt with.
Put the shovel in the ground.
But it's about to start happening. We know they're moving. Billionaires always get the win. It never happens any other way. But we're going to start with the Cavs, who have a losing streak. Go ahead. Anthony, get us going.
Yeah, guys, before we overanalyze the loss last night like we overanalyze the NFL, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's going to cut down the net. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year. You can go check out our brackets. And FanDuel makes it super easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get in on college hoop action all tournament long.
All right, guys. So Cavs lose to the Clippers in the start of a 5-game West Coast trip. I've never seen more panic for a team that's going to win close to 70 games. Obviously, they're not going to win 70.
They're on Twitter.
I mean, my God.
It's meltdown.
Really? 50 in a row, the way people are talking here.
No.
Yes.
I honestly believe that these games, I'm back to these games don't matter anymore.
It was nice to have.
Cavs just got to stay healthy, and let's go get to the playoffs.
I loved you better when you were into every game.
Yeah,
you was. Let's go. You were passionate, and now we're back.
But because I'm nervous because I don't want to see anybody. I don't think these games I don't think what happened last night is any indication of what's going to go on in the playoffs. I think they've hit a little bit of a lull after they won 16, 17 in a row.
They're 16-2 in their last 18.
Yeah, so they won 16 in a row. Now they've hit a little bit of a lull. A couple of guys have been banged up. Allen's a little banged up. Donovan Mitchell's a little banged up. Evan Mobley's a little banged up. They played poorly. They've played poorly the last couple of games. I don't think it's an indication of what's going to happen in the playoffs. If I'm proven wrong, so be it, but I don't believe it. But I don't think this loss I don't think it's meaningful at all. You worried?
Why do you? Now I'm not worried.
Yeah.
The funny part is, remember when we had this conversation was it 2 weeks ago when they was winning very close games,
sloppy wins. Yeah.
And I kept saying, And y'all say, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They find a way to pull it out in the end.
And then they went on to win 16 in a row.
Exactly. But it was all all of them was still a little back and forth and all that.
What is this, college football?
No, I'm just saying. Like, I'm not concerned at all. I still believe that they're going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think everybody is there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are where you at, where it's like, well, we need to just fast forward to the playoffs. The health thing is real. Mm-hmm. It would be a shame to get this far and then you lose a Jared Allen or Evan Mobley or Donna. It'd be a shame because it'll derail the whole
That's
thing.
Right. Yep.
So I understand where you're coming from there. I just wanted to be crisp. It was good to see them go up against something like this because then again, listen, they got out rebounded yesterday. Mm-hmm. And for the longest, probably the entirety of this season, rebounding was something that nobody thought about because you had the Jared Allens, the Evan Mobleys. You had Max Strus come in and grab boards. You had Donovan grabbing boards. And last night was the first time that I seen us get completely dominated on the glass. Mm-hmm. And it was shocking to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that Jared's dealing with a hand thing, which for the first time, that hand thing looked like it was a problem. Like every time he got the ball, it was like
it's
hard.
bobbles instead of catches.
Yeah, it's just.
I told y'all.
I don't understand why he's playing with this.
We asked Kenny, by the way. Jason was able to ask post-game, and he didn't have a good answer, for the record. Kenny was like, we've had these conversations with Jared. It's really important for you to play these 82 games.
It's asinine.
And then we asked Jared in the locker room, and I swear to God, Jared's answer was, it's just something I want to do. It looked cool on my basketball reference page. Like, I swear to you, that was the actual answer he gave.
You know what? I like Jared Allen, but that's selfish. Nobody gives a rat. Nobody cares when he plays 82. Who gives a crap?
It was a shame because in the first half, they were on fire from the three-point line.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but it's funny because the Clippers was hitting threes too, so it was a lot of back and forth. The Cavs had the nice lead, obviously scoring the 45 in the first quarter. Second quarter, things kind of slowed down. The Clippers came to life. Kawhi Leonard, I don't know what.
He's still in the NBA?
Listen, Kawhi had 33 points last night, 5 for 6 from Trey. I was looking like, where this been? Like, don't get me wrong, Kawhi, I know every now and again you put out a good performance, but man, like, boy, you look like San Antonio. You look like the dude in San Antonio.
Do we want me to start with the rebounding stuff or just the big picture?
Go ahead. What's your beef with the team right now? You worried?
No, I mean, worried, no. It's 2 losses. They have 12 losses on March 19th.
Yeah.
They're still tied with OKC for the fewest losses in basketball. At the end of the day, like they are okay.
Like, is any of this going to matter 2 months from now when they're playing the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals?
No, so I'll go with the big picture, then get to the rebounding. Because the rebounding thing, it stinks to get out-rebounded like that. It goes back to the Knicks series, like a giant physical big. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
As far as their current stretch, these next 6, 7, 8 games, the Cavs are battling for the number 1 overall seed in the NBA, which would give you home court advantage over the Thunder. Outside of OKC,
if you play the Thunder,
and that's my point. Outside of OKC, the Cavs have essentially clinched home court against every other team in the NBA, minus OKC. After the game, the Cavs said, "We don't care about that."
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. They said we don't care about 70 wins. We just want to be ready for the playoffs. We don't care about home court advantage, whatnot.
Right.
So they are not going out trying to win every game. Now, they're trying to win every game, but they're not going out and playing balls to the wall to try to win every game.
You shouldn't go balls to the wall. And the off chance you play the Thunder in the finals,
I totally agree.
One game.
Totally agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you look at just the Eastern Conference standings, it's still a 99.9% chance, according to ESPN Analytics, they have the 1 seed locked
Right, it's over.
It's not going to happen where they fall out of the 1 seed. So these next 7, 8 games, the Cavs are playing for essentially to stay healthy.
Yes.
It's not even the ramp-up period yet. The ramp-up period is the last 5, 6 games of the regular season. This is the stretch before the ramp-up period.
Right.
The hunger, and I saw this with LA last night, for other teams in the Clippers instance, the Kings in the same boat tonight. The Suns on this road trip in the same boat tonight. The Blazers at the end of this road trip in the same boat. They're fighting for their playoff lives.
That's right.
Cleveland's fighting for
nothing
to stay healthy.
That's it.
So there's a level of hunger late in these games that I'm not giving the Cavs an excuse. They blew a game last night that they had a good chance to win. I'm not giving them a pass. But you're looking at a team playing to solidify a playoff spot versus a team that has already locked up basically what it cares about.
Yeah.
And is now just playing not to get hurt.
By the way.
And that matters.
Don't you think if you asked to a man and they were totally honest, do you wish the playoffs started next week? Every player would say yes.
Yes.
So the guys are I am giving them a pass. That doesn't mean they didn't play badly. Yeah, the last 2 games they played like crap in the second half. Nope. But I don't think it's representative of what we're going to see in the playoffs.
Whether the Cavs finish the season with 63 wins, 65 wins, 68 wins, or 70 wins,
it's irrelevant.
Their contender status is exactly the same, regardless of how many regular season wins they have. It does not matter
Tyvis disagrees.
if they run the table and go 70-12 when it's all said and done, or if they end up with 66 wins.
I'm not giving them a pass.
Okay.
I'm just not. Because the thing about this is you still have not accomplished anything in these past 3 years.
But will they accomplish?
You cannot practice bad habits. I don't care what nobody says.
Sure.
Bad habits creep.
Who's advocating that, though?
Y'all are. Y'all giving them a pass for last night. What's the excuse for getting dominated on the glass?
Well, we'll get to that.
No, they played
like
crap.
It's not an excuse. Yeah, they got outplayed last night.
That's a problem. Why are you letting that happen?
It's a problem if it happens for 2 months. It's not a problem. It's a couple of games.
How many games? What's their 50?
They're 56 and 12.
So for 68 games, it's been fine. But now you letting it creep in, or excuse me, 67. Listen, 1 game leads to 2 games. 2 games lead to 5 games. 5 games lead to it happened in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't want to see that.
If they go 0-5 in this road trip, we'll be like,
I don't want to see it.
They lost the game last night
them
to a
tonight
hungry
to
Clipper
dominate.
team
Guess what? Guess what they're going up against tonight? Is he leading the league in rebounds? Sabonis?
He ain't playing. He got a sprained ankle.
Sabonis ain't playing.
Yeah, bro. It was like 2 weeks ago. Come on now.
Hey, man, listen, my wrist been messed up for a week, and I'm ready to play.
Yeah, how you miss Sabonis?
How do you miss Sabonis?
Bro, come on.
It's been 2 weeks.
Hey, listen, I knew it.
It probably hasn't
I would have taken my ankle up and got the shot and been out there. What's wrong with Sabonis?
This happened.
But the funniest part of this is neither of you questioned that I knew it when I, of course, did not know it.
I knew you didn't know it.
And I could have totally played it off that I knew it. You were buying it.
I'm just saying.
But I keep it real.
Sabonis is already rolled out.
What league are we living in? What is up with these kids today that they don't want to get out there and play?
Even Tyvis is old enough to say kids today.
I'm sick of this, man.
Get out there and play. I should clarify when this happened. Let me find out
where's Sacramento in the playoff race anyway?
They're fighting for it. They're hungry tonight.
My point exactly. He need to be out there. Or he going to be in Cancun in about a month.
It happened 2 days ago. Sorry, not 2 weeks
2 days.
Ago.
That's
oh, well, if it was 2 weeks, never mind. I take it back. I take it back.
Yeah, 2 days ago. My bad. Listen, I was just in the process. He's not playing tonight. As far as the rebounding goes, Zubac had 20 rebounds himself last night. The Cavs had 29 as a team. They got dominated on the glass. There is no excuse, to Tyvis' point, to get manhandled and out-physicaled on the glass like that. I will say this. When you look at the Cavs' big man rotation last night, Jared Allen had 8 rebounds. He got outplayed. He had 8 rebounds by himself. Mobley had 3, Wade had 3, and DeAndre Hunter had 1.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Allen had 8 rebounds himself. Your other 3 bigs combined had 15 rebounds. Darius and Donovan combined for 9 separately. Max Strus had 4 as well. But your but your other 3 bigs outside of Allen cannot combine for 7 rebounds in a game against a guy like Zubac, who's 270 pounds and is a very good player, by the way. On them boards, he that
outside
deal. Of Cleveland, people underappreciate Jared Allen. Outside of L.A., Zubac gets a lot of.
Yeah, he that deal.
He's a very good player. He's a borderline all-star player. Like he's a legit center.
Get you like 15 and 10 a night.
It's not like he's a nobody who did that to Cleveland, but as a collective unit, they have to rebound better. And frankly, DeAndre Hunter has to rebound better. At 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan and his athleticism, he can't have 1 rebound in 24 minutes of play. Like that's just not acceptable.
They played poorly. They look like they were lacking a little energy in the second half of these last 2 games for whatever reason. I'm just fully confident, even though they got a lot to prove in the playoffs, which is obviously true, I'm just confident that this is not an indication of who they're becoming. They're in a little bit of a slump. Like I said, guys are banged up. If this continues a lot longer, then maybe there's reason to be concerned.
Running out of gas.
Do you feel like the shooting slumps that Donovan and Darius are in since the All-Star break are a concern or just a shooting slump? Because since the All-Star break,
the All-Star break was almost 2 months ago.
It was February 17th, so about a month ago.
Okay, a month ago.
So since then, Donovan's shooting like 41% from the floor and 31% from 3. Darius is 38% from the floor and 31% from 3.
I told you yesterday how I felt about Darius. I don't know what he...
So you're legit concerned about Darius?
A little bit. Yeah. I'm starting to get on the G. Bush thing.
Oh, boy.
And that's sad.
That's
sad.
That's your guy.
Because that's my dude. Like, and I feel like... I haven't. Don't get me wrong. He's been better these last couple of games. He's been making his floaters, but I still just don't see that takeover.
I think he needs some maintenance games. He's not a big guy.
He don't take games.
I'm a little
off.
worried about him being worn down by the season, even though he's playing less minutes. By the way, on a not really related note, doesn't Zubac look a little like Travis Kelce?
No, that's Jonas Valanciunas.
Valanciunas.
Oh, Valanciunas. Right. Yeah.
Just like it.
Doesn't Valanciunas look like Kelce?
Yes, he does. But the thing is about Darius, go back to Darius for a second. When they were playing, who did they play before?
Orlando?
When they played Orlando, I think it was I was listening to the broadcast, and Darius was doing his thing. And they was like, oh, yeah, if Darius was on any other team, he want to let people know, like, if I was on any other team, he'd be a 25 type of guy. And due to the fact that there's so many other people and he's fitting into the system, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. That's why he don't do what he's supposed to do. But my thing is, Max Strus just went for 24 points last night, which is absurd. I think he was the high scorer on the team.
He was. He had 5 threes. He played well last night.
But G won't hear about the start lineup. But anyways, but he had 24 points. Like, when is it going to be Darius's turn to get this? Like,
when's the last time he had 24 points?
That's a great question.
Didn't he have it three games ago? But he's only averaging 18 points since the All-Star break.
He had like 19.
That was Orlando, the game before Orlando. Didn't he have? Because he had 18 in the fourth quarter against the Nets. Yeah, it was like maybe 4 games ago.
Let me look.
So
he had 18 in the fourth quarter against the Nets. So whatever, it was last Tuesday.
All these little things, it's almost like we're looking for something. You know how like in the draft process, it goes on for so long that we're kind of looking for things.
To nitpick.
The Cavs have been so good for so long this year, and because of their history in the playoffs, if the Cavs had won a championship last year, that's a big if, but if they had, none of these little things, we wouldn't care about any of this.
Look at Boston.
We wouldn't be saying, right.
Look at the Celtics.
Celtics fans are not panicked.
They're
not worried.
Slice, no.
He had 30 against the Nets.
I told you.
But it's the Nets, though.
You didn't give a caveat. You just said, when's the last time he scored 25?
That's
I told
true.
you it was
there was
last
no
Tuesday.
caveat.
That's true.
Yeah.
I gotta be better as an analyst.
So what do you want? When's the last time Darius scored 25 against the top?
In a meaningful game.
Well, when's the last time they've played a meaningful game?
The Celtics. No, they played some competition. Last night, that was a meaningful game. Let's see. Memphis was...
I mean, since
Memphis is
What do you have against Memphis?
Let me look.
I don't know.
Yeah,
what was that? What day was that?
That was a Friday, right?
It was last Friday.
Was it last Friday?
No, they played the Hornets.
2 Fridays
last
ago,
Friday.
maybe.
No, it was 3 games ago.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
They played.
It was Friday.
All right.
They put it on.
Tyvis looking for this is a little boring.
Here we go.
Right now.
I got it.
All right, come on, let's go.
He had 20 points.
All right.
Yeah.
7 for 17.
Big picture, I don't think there's any real reason to start hitting the panic button on the Cavs. It's been a bad 2-game stretch. It is what it is. It's basketball.
I don't like this. I don't like this. That Jared Allen cares about this. This is. I don't expect him to be selfish. I feel like this is selfish. I don't want to be too critical of him, but I mean,
did he play all 82 last year? Or did he get hurt
No.
at the end?
No, he got hurt.
He played like 7.
It was like the last 4 games or something.
Who cares? Why would he care? I mean, I get it.
He might get a bonus. Could be an incentive.
You get a bigger bonus for winning the championship.
Let's go.
For
should be
playing 82
everything
games.
should be all about winning a championship.
It is.
That's it.
In all seriousness, and then we'll move on. I love Jared. Great guy.
Yeah.
But that might be the most selfish thing that anyone in the Cavs has done all season.
That's crazy.
Last year he was selfish because he wouldn't get the shot. Now this year he's selfish because he want to play every game.
I'll show you. We'll play this out.
With
hey, Ant, real quick, go into Monday's folder in the show folder. I think I cut this out on Monday. We never got to it. I could be wrong.
Okay, well, let me do the read for the next topic, and we'll get back to that in the next Cavs.
We'll get there later.
Before we go on to football, guys, I want to do a quick read from our new sponsor, Living for Wheat. Guys, what happens when a regular day at school turns into the worst day of your life? Unfortunately, that's a reality that is happening way too frequently in today's world. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for young people in America. In communities of color, the impact is even greater. Every bullet fired creates 2 victims, the person in front of the gun and the one pulling the trigger. Living for We, keep your head up, it is an award-winning podcast that focuses on real stories, real struggles, and real solutions in Northeast Ohio. New episodes drop every other Tuesday where you'll hear from host Marlene Harris-Taylor and her new co-host, Maisha Watkins, Executive Director of Cleveland Peacemakers. No one does a better job of bringing you stories from the front lines, victims, survivors, and those fighting for change. Each episode, we sit down with a different organization that's working to end gun violence and provide resources to those affected by gun violence. Whatever kind of help you need, there's a person for you to contact. Listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcast or watch the video version on IdeaStream's YouTube channel. Subscribe today to Living for We on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, good stuff. And they are the title sponsor for the Ultimate 216 show. We're very happy about that. Congratulations to Earl and Cecil, who Cecil now hosting, Cecil Shorts, of course, hosting with Earl on the Ultimate 216 show. Guys, yesterday the Browns posted via social media about the fact that they're moving forward with their plans to open a stadium in Brook Park for the 2029 season. Obviously, is the plan. They want to break ground, I believe, by next year, which would give them 3 years to get the stadium ready. They're also going to build a whole community, I guess, like Crocker Park.
Is that supposed to be ready by 29 too, or is they just focused on the stadium?
I don't know about.
It has to start with the stadium, and the rest.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Build around it. You've been to the Patriots Stadium, you guys?
I've been to Foxborough.
The Patriots, yes.
Yeah. So they have like a whole huge shopping mall there.
Oh, the Vikings is like connected to the thing.
Yeah. And what I imagine is they're, like Crocker Park are kind of surrounding the stadium.
Yep.
The Browns put in this release that they're putting over, $2 million into the project. $2 billion. I don't know if that's just for the stadium. Supposedly the stadium's going to cost $2.4 billion. I don't know. These things are, who knows? I'm no economist.
So he's putting in $2 billion.
Well,
so
yes.
According to the release they put out yesterday, the overall project is going to cost around $3.4 billion. That's their expectation.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I read 2.3. Okay,
$3.4 billion was the whole project, and the Haslam Sports Group,
with the stores and all that.
He said the whole project, so I assume that means the whole facility. And then his sports group, the Haslam Sports Group, is committed up to $2 billion of their own money.
Committed. It should be. Yeah. As if they're doing something.
And Schefter,
it should be all their money. It's their thing. They're committed to putting $2 billion. It's their effing thing. They should put every dollar.
So where's the 1.4 coming from?
That's my question.
Well, our idiot politicians that run this state just handed them $600 million.
So there's half of it.
Because we always get
So now the people are responsible for 800.
We have kids that can't get meals in the city of Cleveland. They probably don't have any computers there. That I don't know for a fact. I'm sure in the city of Akron, in the city of Canton, in Cincinnati, in Toledo, in Dayton, in Columbus. I'm sure there's poor kids that, God forbid, they get a free lunch at school. But let's hand the billionaire $600 million to put up his palace that they're going to lie and tell you is going to be great for the area, which I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be bad for the area. I have no idea. But it's not going to benefit legitimately anybody's pocketbook except for Jimmy Haslam and his cohorts. So let's keep it real. And get mad at me if you want. I don't know why you want. I'm out for the little guy. But the only one benefiting financially significantly is Jimmy Haslam and his investors.
They did put in there that the Haslam Sports Group contributing $2 billion to the project.
Stop saying contributing.
Paying.
It's his thing.
Well, whatever. Giving, paying, spending $2 billion on the project is the most an owner has ever spent.
I don't care.
In terms of their own
spend
project.
it all. It's his money. It's his thing.
Let me get to that's what I'm trying to say.
Go ahead,
I thought the dude from LA paid.
I'm just angry about it.
So Kroenke spent $5 billion. That's the most ever. This would be the second most that an owner has ever spent in his own project. But when they put it right next to Kroenke, who spent $5 billion on his own project, and I see 3.4 and they're doing 2, and I know, hey, where's the rest of the 1.4 coming from? Listen, if it gets done, it gets done. Great. However it gets done, it's going to happen, and Jimmy's not going to pay for it all. If Stan Kroenke could pay $5 billion, Jimmy could pay 3.4.
Exactly. And by the way, 3.4 billion in Brook Park, Ohio, has got. I'm assuming goes much further than $5 billion in Los Angeles.
I would assume so.
I would imagine, yeah.
I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm going to guess that property in Brook Park is not equivalent to property in
the West Coast.
I know LA.
How many acres was it? 176?
What's that?
Was it 176 acres in total?
That was what they bought when they bought the land. I'm not sure what the project necessarily would be. So if you want to use that number for comparison's sake, it's a good number to look
Jimmy Haslam is a multi-billionaire. He bought the Browns for
like $300 million. wasn't it?
That low?
What?
No, I don't think so.
No, it can't
What's
be.
the team valuation now? $2 billion?
Forbes Browns evaluation.
I mean, he bought it for definitely less than $1 billion. I don't remember exactly how much he paid for it. He invested money in the Bucks. Well, take that money.
He got the crew to
Take that money, Jimmy, and spend it on your own team.
The Browns are evaluated, according to Forbes, at $5.15 billion.
Okay, he spent less than $1 billion on the team. It's a decade later. He's done nothing but lose. He's won one playoff game. He's the laughingstock owner in the league. And
He paid $1 billion for the Browns.
He paid $1 billion. It's worth 4 times that amount. He's super rich. He hires his family members. Everybody's all worried about DEI. Meanwhile, this guy is handing his jobs to family members that have earned nothing. His son-in-law's an idiot, and he got handed a job, a high executive job, for no other reason. He doesn't have qualifications. The only reason he got the job is because he's his son-in-law.
When you saw the video, you know what my first thought was? They better have a winning team in there.
The whole thing looks awesome, I'll say that.
It looks incredible. It looks incredible. But I think Earl may have tweeted this, and I was like, spot on. But this looks amazing. Every ounce of this looks like perfection. Like, I don't think if you're going to put out a rendering.
Well, I mean, what rendering don't you like?
But this one looks everything you'd want to have in a rendering of a stadium that has.
I don't know how.
Except a winning football team. You got to put a winning product in that stadium, or else this is just delaying the inevitable of us getting pissed off about a disappointing Browns team again.
I can't believe there's even enough room there to do all of that. It doesn't seem like there's enough space there.
It looks incredible, top notch.
I kind of think it's cool the way you walk in and you're way above the field.
It looks everything about this looks immaculate.
The field is deep in the ground.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
Yeah,
it gives me hope. For some odd reason, it just gives me hope.
Shedeur Sanders gives me hope. Cam Ward gives me hope. That doesn't give me hope.
For all my criticisms that I just went through, this looks amazing, and I would love to go to games there. So I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I would imagine, like, as a player, like, I don't know how many players outside of Miles is going to be on this team by that time. But, like, just think, like, in 28, like, just the season of 2028, my last season in downtown.
Yeah.
Like, you got to play with so much passion, because the thing that everybody points out is that stadium's been there all those years and has never hosted a home playoff game. So for like now until 28, like that should be on my mind, like, which I'm sure it is. Nobody wants to lose. So but to think like that's a little bit of more motivation. Like, at least let me get a city of Cleveland before we move to Brook Park, which I don't know why everybody's still in this whole thing. I get it. I get the whole it's 15 minutes away. It's not technically Cleveland. I get those things. But at the end of the day, I want to give the city of Cleveland, downtown at least, just one good memory, like one great memory. Because to me, the best atmosphere that I've witnessed in that stadium was
the Jets game.
The Jets game.
Yeah, that was
like
crazy.
That
Downtown was crazy.
When what was that? They clinched the playoffs.
Yeah, it was week 17. They clinched the playoffs.
I don't think the Browns have ever played a playoff game in this.
No, that's the point.
They've not even played one.
That's my point.
Yeah, right.
So I'm saying last year against the Jets in the regular season when they clinched the playoffs seed, like that was the best atmosphere I've ever seen in the Browns stadium.
Isn't that crazy?
So think about that. Yeah. Now I'm sure it's different. Everybody got their own stories. Obviously, I'm only 31 years old, but to me, as a 31-year-old guy, when I think about the Browns, the best environment I've ever been was a Week 16, 17 game against the Jets, who was not good. Like I want to be like, I was there when they beat this team in the playoffs.
Beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, like that. I want that type of feeling, and they got. Right now, the clock is on. They got, 3 seasons to get that done.
You think that's going to happen? You think you'll see that in the next 3 years?
I mean, right now, it's so far-fetched.
Yeah.
But I want to be on record to say that the Browns won't be picking top 10 next year. I told y'all that. I'm standing on it. They will not have a top 10 pick unless they trade for one. So I'm going to say maybe not this year. Maybe not next year. I think that last season, 28, I think it can happen. Because
it's 4. There's actually 4 seasons.
Yeah, 25, 26, 27, 28.
27 and 28, I think would be really good seasons.
I did think,
which ironically, I think Deshaun off the books at that time.
Well, not financially.
Not off the books, but I don't think he was off the roster at that time.
I thought the funniest part of the entire rollout the Browns did yesterday was in the release they sent out. If you actually read it, it was a lot of legal jargon and stuff like this is what we're going to do. they bodied the city of Cleveland. Like, they basically gave the middle finger to the city of Cleveland, saying,
yes, they did.
The Modell law that you are trying to enact is irrelevant to this case. Look at example A, B, C, D, E, F, and G of why it's not. And they put it in such plain language and basically said, we're moving forward, putting shovels in the ground, like, you ain't stopping us, that I am now fascinated to see how the city responds.
I don't really like any of that.
It doesn't matter.
I think
it's
unseemly from
but they
the politicians.
Bodied the city. They bodied the city.
It's unseemly from these high-ranking executives. I think it's ugly all around. I don't think it's good for the city. I don't frankly understand. I mean, I don't know. It's all bullshit politics. I got a beef with the head of the city council because of dirty stuff going on there. I don't like any of it. I don't like the Browns in this situation. I don't love the city in this situation. I don't like how it's being handled, period. It's not benefiting the fans. And both sides are going to give you these bullshit platitudes about why this is good for you, the fan. Keep in mind, they don't really care. There's agendas here at play on both sides here and that I don't like.
So the Browns are getting a dome.
I'm going to make everybody hate me.
Bottom line.
The Browns are getting a dome. Yes, we knew they were. Once they said they wanted it, we knew it was happening.
Yeah.
It was never getting stopped. You know, pockets have been filled, and, you know,
I mean,
here we are.
Like I say, the only bad thing is the time when we went over them prices to, like, what was them season tickets? That was ridiculous. Like, who?
It's gonna be expensive as shit.
You get a Journey concert.
Who, man?
Tyvis, that's a with
no.
That's
That's happening. That's happening now.
Yeah.
You might get Taylor Swift in the dome, though.
You might.
It's gonna be expensive.
That's true.
That's the only thing I don't like. And I get it. Like, yeah, you gotta get your money back.
Good luck, regular fans. They're not going.
Man, like that
the new Bills Stadium's expensive. The new Vikings Stadium's expensive.
For a nosebleed.
Yeah, when owners spend money, and I know others.
Hey, if the owner spends all his money, he can do whatever he wants. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I care. I feel bad for the fans.
He ain't spending all his money on this one.
Nope.
So therefore, he got to be a little reason.
He won't.
They can have a little section.
They'll charge as much as they
can
possibly can.
They can get one section like that's I'm saying on the cheap side for some fans.
I doubt it.
That's messed up.
It is messed up, but that's the way the world works.
How cheap is the ticket to the Browns now?
I don't know.
Depends on what part of the season you want to go. You want to go to home opener, or you want to go in week 16 when they may be eliminated?
Let's go. Let's week 14.
When they play the Chiefs, I know it's for a fact because Darren was in town and we went to Sweet Pork Wilson's and that random guy that showed up that none of us knew.
That was a weirdo.
He had told me you weren't there. Some random guy just came and I thought he knew Darren, didn't know Darren, just sat with us the whole time. Yeah, had no idea who we were. It was hysterical. But he said he's a Chiefs fan that lives in Medina. And he had bought tickets for the game when they first came out because he thought it'd be a big game. Spent like $160 on decent tickets for him and his son.
$160 for 2 tickets?
I don't know. He said 160.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that was per ticket or for both.
Okay.
And he said, had I waited to buy them now, I could have got $15 seats. So
good luck. You can get great discounts when your team sucks.
Well,
and they're not worth watching.
Well, but
otherwise, nothing.
Who wants to? I mean, people will go.
But again,
just
if he
to say
pays,
they win.
If Haslam spends his money, then he's going to charge whatever he wants, whether he spends his money or not.
Well,
I'll complain about it less.
Let me make sure I keep my job, dear.
Yeah.
So
all right, Anthony.
I'm not a math expert, but if you guys wanted some numbers about the acres, they paid $31.5 million for the 176 in Brook Park, which goes to about $179,000 per acre. The average in Cleveland is around 54. In LA, it's around 64. So there's about a $10,000 difference between the average of per acre land. So
that doesn't make sense. How is that only 10?
That's according to a quick Google search. I
don't know. I don't buy that. There's no way it's that close. Google don't know what the hell it's
about. According to Land Search right now, the average cost to buy 25 different properties right now is $54,000 in Cleveland per acre.
Where in Cleveland? Like in the city of Cleveland?
It varies depending on if you want farmland outside the city or if you want to come more residential.
There's no way it can only cost 10 cents less an acre. I can't imagine.
No, it's $10,000.
Oh,
$10,000.
$10,000 less per acre. Okay. You know what? I know nothing about housing. Maybe that's a lot. That doesn't seem like that big a difference, but maybe that is a big difference. I don't know.
I'm sure LA, if you're building a stadium, is going to charge more than the average.
All right. You know what? Let's talk about another subject that's going to piss me off. When Anthony put this on the rundown, I'm like,
can I get a read-in real quick before you do
go
it?
Go ahead.
All right, guys. Before we move on, I want to tell everybody that G is back today at 3 o'clock with an Ultimate Browns show live, and then it'll be followed by an Ultimate 216 show later on today at 5 o'clock, just so you guys know. And we're going to continue with Browns here right now.
Yeah. So Anthony put on the rundown of something about Deshaun Watson, like working out.
In my defense, I wanted to do Guardians.
And at first I was like, friggin' Anthony, what is he doing? I said to my wife, look at what Anthony did in this rundown. Putting Deshaun, making me talk about Deshaun. And then I was like, okay, this will be good because I can crap on Deshaun Watson. So I changed my mind. First of all, why, if you're Deshaun Watson, are you putting out pictures of you getting engaged?
What do you mean?
Yeah, he got engaged.
What are you talking
Congrats
about?
to Deshaun.
He is an alleged serial abuser of women.
And his fiance
Nobody wants to see that. His fiance's an idiot for being with him.
Wow.
Well,
I mean,
nah, come on, bro. Come on.
Are you going too far?
if you knew,
If you love someone, you love someone.
going
he's
too far.
allegedly sexually abused 26 women.
I'm not like giving him a pass for that,
The
but if
key
she's
word-
okay
Well, what
with
if-
it, she's
the key
okay.
She's
with
word-
it.
okay
Yeah,
with it.
what
Who would? What normal person would be okay with that?
People write love letters to Ted Bundy in jail.
Those people are idiots too.
Listen, you love the heart wants what it
Oh,
wants.
my
or
God.
wants. I think that's like a
Okay.
Taylor Swift
Well, I'm
song.
sure it'll end well. Good for him. I don't care. Nobody. I don't
People
give a
can't be
rat's ass about
happy.
it.
People can't be
And
happy.
why is he even? Why are the Browns letting? He's working out as if he's never going to play again. If he ever takes the field for the Browns again, then Andrew Berry must immediately and Kevin Stefanski must immediately go to the doctor and have their heads examined, because that would be the dumbest thing ever. Nobody wants Deshaun Watson to play. He is shot. He is done. I apologize for being excited when the Browns traded for him. In fact, I think today's the anniversary, isn't it? Or yesterday?
It's March 18th, so yesterday.
Yesterday was the 3-year anniversary. I went bananas. I was beyond excited about Deshaun Watson. And I'm an idiot, and so is everybody else that got excited. We all got it wrong. The guy's an absolute bum. He couldn't. That's an insult to bums to call him a bum.
Ooh.
And he beyond. Come on! He's been here for 3 years. He has the worst contract in the history of football. What are you talking about? He has destroyed the franchise. Destroyed. He is horrible at football. We were laughing at Jay's obsession with Will Howard. We know Will Howard's going to stink, but even he's better than Deshaun Watson.
Easy.
He's going to be nothing in the NFL, and you know this.
Oh my God.
Jay's insane, and even he's going to be better than Deshaun Watson.
Wait, are you upset that the Cubs lost to
I
something?
am. Nah, I mean, I am, but that has nothing to do with this.
Nice.
Bull said he
You
got a
ain't
bad-
saying one positive thing all day.
What am I supposed to say
He got
positive
a
about
bad night's
Deshaun
sleep.
Watson?
I have a positive.
Good.
He's wearing
Wait a
his
second.
Right.
Hold on a second. I was the one saying no big deal about the Cavs while you guys were complaining
Well,
and being worried.
he said
So
he
don't
wasn't
tell me
worried
I've been negative.
I didn't complain.
I'm 100% positive
No,
about
I
the
did not
Cavs.
complain. No, do not put me in that.
Who was the most positive about the Cavs?
Here's my
Wait a
thing.
second. Wait a second. Who was the most positive? Don't tell me I'm being
You said the
negative.
regular season doesn't matter, so yeah, you're
Who's
dumb.
the most positive about the Cavs? Me. Who said that stadium looks amazing? Me. I don't want the fans to have to pay for
Wait a
it.
minute.
What is wrong with that?
You started off the stadium by saying all the negative stuff.
All the
and
negative.
then came back and said
Yeah.
it was good.
Because I don't want the fans to have to pay for it. What's wrong with that?
But it's still like, why couldn't you say it looks nice, then went into
Yeah.
the negatives? Why
Whatever.
did you? Why
And then
did
I'm
you
being
Presentation
negative.
matters.
And now I'm being negative about Deshaun Watson, who is the worst acquisition in the history of professional sports, and I'm being too negative?
Okay, well, here-
How positive can I be
here's-
about I'm supposed to get excited to see Deshaun Watson working out?
No,
Who on
no,
earth
no,
would
no,
get
no,
excited
no,
about
no,
that?
No. Here, okay, let me take a
Go
step
ahead.
back.
Hey,
Take
all
a
right,
deep
let's calm
breath.
down.
Take a sip of
Let's
water.
all calm down.
Take a sip of water.
Let's calm down now.
Well, that was good, by the way. That was good. We needed that. When I saw the reaction, I didn't see when Deshaun initially posted the video. I saw the reaction. I saw people getting very excited about Deshaun posting this video and the comeback season loading. And
No, people did not get excited.
I swear, I'll show you tweets. People saying, everyone who counted out Watson for 2025.
Oh, my God.
The reality is, seeing that video did not change a single ounce of my mind on whether or not Deshaun Watson will play again in 2025 or ever again in the Cleveland Browns uniform. That video did nothing. I did think, however, Deshaun's in a complete lose-lose situation with everything he does from here on out. So if Deshaun Watson who retore his Achilles, posted another TikTok video, what would have happened? He would have been eviscerated online.
No, he wouldn't. As long as he was wearing the boot.
He would have been eviscerated online.
You see, he was wearing the boot in that workout video.
He posted a workout video. People who don't like Deshaun.
Even more damning that he wasn't wearing it when he got
Real
re-injured.
quick, do you guys want to show the video so people who haven't seen it?
Yeah,
we have it ready.
Play a video.
Sure.
Yeah, play a video.
We like. I gotta breathe real deep when I catch an attitude. I got a whole other level that I can tap into.
Yeah, I didn't hear
Max
this.
said they only blessed when they attached
I'm even
to
more
you. The
annoyed
only
with the
damn
music
beats is
playing.
whatever beats I've been rapping to.
At the end of the day, like, I gotta understand too, like, my name, my presence is bigger than what people actually see.
And the product is still the best though. It's
name
only good in my
is
city because I said
bigger
so.
than what people see.
Just a 50th statement, I had to Copperfield like presto. Hold up, but
You know, for me, I wanted to be genuine because everything that I lived about always been genuine. Like, I've always dreamed of just serving others and just bringing grit, like, or energy around folks. I'm a big energy person.
the stage. 3 forum shows, but I play staples today. The neighborhood is smoky, I'll stay safe in this place. Drizzy about to drop, the game is in disarray. I tell you, hear me out, but we both know end of the day. Your is pressing play, your nanny is pressing play.
You know, in a sense, you can't take it personal. I kind of learned that, but I think naturally we kind of do that as humans, trying to take, you know, other people's opinions personal. It goes back to people don't understand me, they don't know. So, you know, when they don't understand or know something, they kind of try to speak on it.
3 years, I can't be around it you mingling with. I can't fly if I can sit on the wing of that. Try to pay it less mind. They've been keeping tabs on me like I'm paying next time. I think I sense a little fear from the other side. White vans parked across.
I'm glad he had time for his choreographed workout video. Good for him.
It's
So,
just funny to watch
Yeah.
you just steam
Yeah.
and watch it.
But back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
If he posts a TikTok video of him not rehabbing, everyone goes,
Doing some stupid
Deshaun
dance."
doesn't care. He's not working hard to get back. He posts a video of him rehabbing, and
Yeah.
people immediately go, either, who cares? You're the worst quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah.
You're not going to play again. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Or, oh, this means he's coming back immediately. So what is Deshaun supposed to do in these
Nothing.
situations?
Why are you posting videos?
Which
I mean, he can.
which brought me to my
I'm
next thought.
just, you know, whatever. He has the right to do whatever he wants.
He's rehabbing from injury. He should
Good
be
for
doing
him.
that. But it brought
I
me
just
to,
don't give
it
a
brought me to
crap.
my last thought.
Yeah.
So this was recorded last week.
Yeah.
He was in town for the Russell Wilson visit.
Yeah.
I don't know how frequently he's been in Berea versus in Miami rehabbing. All we know is Barry said he's been going back and forth. We do know he was in Berea the day Russell Wilson was in town. Did he fly up here to record that video? Like, was the only reason he was up here? And I don't know, I'm
Yeah, I don't
asking,
know.
but like,
I mean, that was clearly
That was-
like produced.
yes.
That wasn't just like a spur of the moment.
no.
I'm going to take a video here. That was a whole production.
It is.
So was he just in Berea that day
I
by
don't
nature?
know.
to
I think
record
that's
it?
reasonable to believe.
I have no
It's
idea.
just so phony.
Wait
It's
a
just
minute.
such phony crap.
But I feel bad for him because what the hell is he supposed to
Why
do?
do you feel bad for him? He's brought this all on himself.
Because he's a human.
Wait a minute. Listen. Hold on. Let me bring some context to all of this. Okay?
Yeah.
So, as an athlete, you know, there's athletes that do these things. Every offseason, you see athletes going out and do workout videos. They get with these trainers. They produce these content, blah, 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 and they post it just to let people know, hey, I'm working. Now, in Deshaun's case, obviously, he's not. It's not like he's deaf. He hears everything. He's not blind. He sees everything.
He said it.
Yeah,
He said it.
clearly.
I got to stop taking things personally.
Clearly.
He admitted it.
And I think
Well, but he's going to still keep.
I think for him, he's in the he's realized that I'm in a situation where no matter what I do, which is what you're saying, no matter what I do, there's always going to be a negative connotation to everything.
That is correct, yes.
Because of the things that's happened in his life over the past
The things he's
whatever.
accused of.
Correct.
And his terrible play on the field.
Correct. And for him, I think this is his way of saying, like, he's trying to stay locked in because everybody's like, oh, he's never going to play for the Browns, nor is he ever going to play in the football league, National Football League again. And I think for him, this is his motivation to be like, I'm still working, I'm coming back. Like, I'm going to play. Whether it's with the Browns, whether it's with anybody, I'm going to play. And this is just him putting that type of message out, is that people are counting me out, I'm not done, I'm coming back. Because, believe it or not, he still has fans that root for him. Obviously, you got comeback season. So for him, and this is a thing that a lot of athletes got to get to. You get to a point for so much of your career, it's I'm about to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. And then you get to a point where it's like, that's not. I don't care about that no more. I care about the people. I'm trying to prove some people right. The people that stuck with him through all of this, that still has his back, that still wants him to do well, I think now he's trying to prove them right. And I think that's what this video is to ensure those people, however, whatever percentage of the fans that do agree and like him and roots for him, this video is to appeal to them.
That's correct.
That's what I think.
You're right. He doesn't care about me and
correct. Yeah.
I mean, he cares
because
he's still affected by it.
He knows that what you're saying is what the average person that heard his situation is going to say.
That's fair. That's a great point by you, Tyvis. Do you think he's ever going to play in the NFL?
I think somebody would take a flyer on him.
I know he's going to try.
I think he's definitely going to try, and I think that somebody's going to take a flyer on him.
Do you think it'll be Cleveland? Will he play another snap as a Cleveland Brown? My gut tells me no.
My gut tells me no. I think if he wanted to take another snap from Cleveland, he would have to literally say, like, change his style of play. It would have to be Kevin's way. That's the only way it'll work.
Not just that, but if they draft a quarterback at 2, they're handing the keys to the franchise to said quarterback.
I agree.
Yeah. And that is, if nothing else, an indication of we are officially moving on from the Deshaun era. You can't have – I don't think you can. Maybe Andrew Berry disagrees. I don't think you could have Deshaun Watson looming over a rookie quarterback when you have officially handed the keys to the franchise to him. If they draft Shador, this is Shador's team.
But what if I understand that, and I think that the way we talked about how they went about last offseason where it was all about the support. And I'm not saying he's coming back to play for the Browns or anything, but I don't know what he's like in a competitive role anymore. Like, I want to see whether he beats the rookie. I say they did draft Shador, and next year, Deshaun comes back and they decide to keep him on the roster. I would love to see those two go at it for the number 1 position to see, because it's not like he's going to come back and be like, oh, I'm just going to be the backup for a year. Like, I don't think that's his mindset. So it would be nice to see what it's like to put him in a competitive environment. Maybe that's the key that could, quote unquote, bring him back. I'm not saying it's there or not, but I'm just saying it could, quote unquote, potentially bring him back to being a guy again. Who knows?
By the way, for the record, I haven't forgotten about you either, Justin Tucker. If I were your wife, I'd divorce you right now. But number 2,
well,
I'll be stunned if Deshaun Watson ever plays a game in the NFL again, because
I wouldn't be stunned, but
the only chance to me is him playing for the Browns. That's the only chance because he's already here. If you're another team, you've seen he hasn't played well since 2000.
Yeah.
Or
2020.
Yeah, 2020
Yeah,
season.
2020. I don't know like
2000, boy.
2020.
That boy better
the
than
last
Brady.
time he played at a high level was 2020. So that's a minimum of 5 years ago by the time. If you were another team, let's say the Browns cut him after the 25 season, and you're another team and you're like, maybe there's a small chance we could find magic with Watson. Why would you take that chance with all the backlash you're going to get for the offense?
Because it's removed.
It won't be.
I understand that, but like we moving like years away from it.
I hear you.
So like more people is like it's never gonna be forgotten. But like more people is like.
But the juice has to be worth the squeeze. If
I
you're
agree.
good, you can get away with anything.
I agree.
It's the backup quarter. If he was an elite player, none of this stuff matters.
It was the whole Tim Tebow thing on a totally different way. Like Tim Tebow, not for his,
it was
his
the circus
fault,
he brought.
and he did nothing wrong, but he was a distraction, and teams were like, he's a backup quarterback. Why do I need this distraction? I don't want to do this. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is best is way, 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 way better than Tim Tebow, but still.
I think it would. Listen, it's not. I think that in his situation he would be brought in for a tryout with a team. It's not like he's gonna go visit like Russell Wilson. I'm gonna go visit this team. I ain't got to work out. No.
Right.
Teams, if you're going to try to apply for another team to play for another team, I need to see you through a workout. And if he impresses in the workout, like that's when you had that conversation. Now, if you see Deshaun Watson got cut by the Browns and he's working out for the Cowboys, Dolphins, and all that, and nothing comes of it, then you know what it is.
I think he's going to be Trevor Bauer, where teams are just like he ain't.
No, I think they will bring him in for.
And by the way, Trevor Bauer, his last, is still in terms of talent. I trust Trevor Bauer, who I can't stand. I think he's despicable. more than I trust Deshaun Watson at this point.
You mentioned something a second ago. I'll use Shedeur as an example. They draft Shedeur at 2. Whenever Watson comes back, whether it's end of this season, midway, and he's in a competition or to beat out Shedeur Sanders next year, just using those two as his name, that doesn't say good things about the quarterback the Browns drafted. If you draft a guy at 2 and then a guy who is coming off a 2 torn Achilles, a shoulder injury we haven't seen, and hasn't played at a high level since 2020, and comes in and then beats out your rookie quarterback in the competition.
It'd be a shame.
That would be a gigantic mess.
And on top of that, a guy that
is now at the last year of his contract.
That's at the last year of his contract and don't necessarily like the offense that's being ran.
And you're going to kill your rookie's confidence. Like I can't see
Listen to
how that happens.
this conversation you're having right now.
Yeah, this is La La Land.
Are you really seriously having a conversation?
Well, I wanted to mention.
We got to listen here. Yeah. We like to get all avenues. I like to go down all avenues. I'm not saying who's right or wrong in this. Yeah. I'm just putting out different opinions of different avenues that possibly can happen. I do think that he will. I don't know if he will play for the Browns again. I just said that. I said that I do think he will get some workouts if he gets cut by the Browns. And I think we'll see what happens from there. I'm not necessarily saying he will get picked up or not. If he goes out there and the arm looks good, he looks mobile, he's making throws, I think a team would be like, you know what, let's sign you for a preseason. Let me let you go through preseason and camp. Let me see how you do in these preseason games. And if you went out the backup or the starter, all right, we got us something. If not, it's not like you're going to be paying them a lot of money.
Yeah, listen, anything's possible. I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, it might not.
I don't think he's ever going to play for the Browns.
It might not.
I'll die on that hill. I don't think he'll play.
I think the Browns are the only chance, and I think that's like less than 1%. So just time will tell on Deshaun Watson and his fiancée. Hope they have a lovely marriage. Good for them. Let's get back to the Cavs.
And great topic, by the way.
Yeah, I still would have rather done my Guardians topic, but thank you,
Mike.
Before we get back to the Cavs, guys, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the net. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. So all I have to do is visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get in on all the college hoops action all tournament long.
All right, guys, the question we have for you now is, who do you want the Cavs to play in the first round of the playoffs? Tyvis?
So I was looking at the bottom 4 teams. It's the Hawks, the Magic, the Heat, and the Bulls. Who do I want them to play?
Yeah.
Yo, start with the idea. We'll do best and worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So start with
the best case scenario is they play the Bulls.
I agree.
They win that game in 4. They have rest time after that, and they move on.
For the record, the Bulls are playing a lot better than the Heat right now.
Like I said, I'd rather play the Bulls in the first round because the Cavs will win in 4, and they have rest time after that.
That's right.
The worst case scenario would probably be the Magic.
I had the same 2 answers. Even though I do think there's a chance Toronto could sneak in because Miami's just completely tanking.
But they're 5.5 up on Toronto.
Yeah, Miami's lost 8 in a row.
6 in the loss column.
But they over the last 2 months, they're a plus 500 team. Miami's literally cratering.
Yeah.
But I still am worried if Spo gets into the playoffs, it's still Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Like they could throw something out of there, pull something out of the Magic hat. I want to play Chicago. They have no answer for Cleveland defensively. They cannot stop Cleveland. Even if they make a few shots.
Yeah.
We saw in that game a couple weeks ago, it was 107-107 with 6 minutes to go, and then Cleveland went on a 32-9 run to close the game. Like, I'd be shocked if it even went 5 against Chicago. I think they beat Orlando in 5, but that is the worst case scenario just because of the physicality. Yeah. And they're not scared of Cleveland whatsoever.
Not
if there's
all.
anything that we learned from Sunday's matchup, I don't take the result as any kind of indication of how a playoff series would go. But Paolo and Franz, those guys aren't scared of the Cavs in any capacity, and it's physical. And more than I'd be worried about the Cavs losing that series, I'd be worried about just the pure physicality of that game taking a toll on the Cavs later. It'd be like a heavy 5-game series where each one's a drag-out, bare-knuckle brawl.
Yeah.
And in the first round, when you're the 1 seed, I want an easy ride. I want a clean sweep. And/or if it goes 5, well, you don't have to exert a ton of energy. I do think if you play Orlando, we get at least 3 games.
What about Atlanta? They haven't played well against Atlanta. I know they've lost.
Not the same team, not Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So
Jalen
all these
Johnson.
teams besides Orlando are terrible.
I feel
They're all hideous.
Yeah, I think the
so
Cavs
it doesn't
all,
matter unless They'll still beat Orlando, but that would be the most. That's the only series that's going to be at least anywhere.
If you're going off of competitors, it would be Orlando, probably the Heat, then Atlanta, then the Bulls. I think those
or
are
even Toronto, Brooklyn, and Philly. If you're saying Toronto, Brooklyn, and Philly are only a game behind them.
Brooklyn keeps winning games, and
Philly is done.
Philly's dead. Yeah, Philly's done.
PG gone.
I mean, it's so embarrassing. Those teams are like 20 games under 500.
They have no business being.
All of those, the Cavs would sweep all of those teams besides Orlando. I think.
Yeah.
You know, could Miami or Atlanta get one game?
They could pull
maybe?
a game.
The Sixers is doing that bad.
They're that bad. Yes,
I would think, I mean, you never know. It's one game.
22 games.
I would assume that Orlando will end up being the 7 seed. I would think. If they're healthy.
If it goes how it is now, the 7 plays the 8, so Atlanta will play Orlando.
Right.
Winner of that game gets the 7.
The 7 seed, which is probably Orlando, you'd think.
I would think Orlando could beat Atlanta, but we've seen Trae Young in one-game situations get hot, and then 9-10 play. Winner of that plays the loser of 7-8.
The West is that much better than the East, man.
On the bottom.
At the bottom, yeah.
The bottom, yeah. I mean, the bottom.
I mean, top to bottom. Well,
no, the top is
well,
right.
the Cavs have the East has a top 2, a better top 2 than the West does, but then the depth of the West is better than the depth of the East.
Yeah, the Knicks are locked into the 3 pretty much. 4 to 6 is a complete toss-up.
Detroit could finish with the 4 seed bowl.
They could. They're only 2 games back in the loss column of Indiana for the 4 seed, so that's very much up in the air. And Atlanta or Orlando will probably be 7 and 8, and then the Bulls, Miami, with a couple of teams a little further behind them. But, Brooklyn is 23 games under 500, and they're 7 games in the loss column behind Miami.
I know this is the Cleveland show, but didn't the Pistons give Monty Williams like a massive contract?
Yeah, fired him after 1 year.
And he's still getting paid?
Oh, yeah. Coaching contracts are guaranteed.
Wow.
Yeah.
He also got fired from Phoenix and is getting paid by them, too.
And what is he doing currently, you know?
Sitting on his ass on a beach.
Best life on an island somewhere, yeah.
So anyway, I think we're all in agreement. The team most of the teams that are in there now, rather than play
the Bulls.
The Bulls, at least you'd rather than play as Orlando. I think the only debate is who would be your second choice to play, whether it would be Atlanta or Miami.
Atlanta's more talented than Miami, but Spo is the one X factor. But I'd rather play Miami than Atlanta. I'll be honest. I don't think Miami can score.
Spo a little overrated.
That team sucks. And right now they're losing. I think they're tanking. If you watch them, they've had
the players are trying to lose.
Or is Terry Rozier? He caught up in some other stuff.
I don't know.
Illegal.
I don't know the stat. I heard Kevin O'Connor say this the other day.
with them people.
The best way to make money right now is wait for the second Miami gets a lead in the second half and then bet the other team's money line. Yeah. They have given up, and I don't remember the exact number. I'll try to find it once we have Todd McShay on my phone. Bet. They have lost so many second half leads lately.
Yeah.
Like double digit, and it makes you think.
You can't you can't lose games on purpose when you're a player. That would be a whole scandal.
Listen,
the Terry Rozier stuff don't look good, boy.
The Heat has been in the playoffs probably every year since LeBron got here, right? Has there ever been a time like
it's so easy to make the playoffs, though.
But they're in limbo. They're not good enough to be good, and they're not bad enough to be bad.
Yeah. So if they just take this 1 year off and get a good lottery pick, how's the NBA draft this year?
Very good.
So last year was very bad. This year is
considered very strong draft.
Supposed to be deep, right?
So if you can get a top 5 pick, that could be you pair them with Bam
and Hero. You got money coming off the books because you're not paying Butler as much.
Khalil Ware.
Yeah.
I
Hey.
mean, who gives a rat's
You got you a core 4.
The truth is, to the conversation where we started,
the
Cavs should have no real issues with any team they play in the first round. Orlando would be the one.
They would never say they wouldn't want to play Orlando of all those teams.
No.
But
that'd be the funnest one.
It's the only
everybody
competition
be locked
that there
in.
could possibly be. I mean,
to see
Orlando's the only team you can make a case could win 2 games in that series. The only one.
Paolo and Todd Jerome.
I wouldn't think they would, but it's the only one you could even make.
They could.
Any kind of
they
case.
certainly could. Yeah, but I would not anticipate.
Go ahead, Anthony. What you got for us?
Yeah, guys, we're going to head back to football here in 1 second, but I want to do a read from our newest sponsor, Living for We. What happens when a regular day at school turns into the worst day of your life? Unfortunately, that's a reality that happens way too frequently in today's world. Gun violence is the leading cause of death among young people in America, and in communities of color, the impact is even greater. Every bullet fired creates 2 victims, the person in front of the gun and the person pulling the trigger. Living for We, Keep Your Head Up is an award-winning podcast that focuses on real stories, real struggles, and real solutions in Northeast Ohio. New episodes drop every other Tuesday where you'll hear from host Marlene Harris-Taylor and her new co-host, Maisha Watkins, Executive Director of the Cleveland Peacemakers. No one does a better job of bringing you stories from the front lines, victims, survivors, and those fighting for change. Each episode, we sit down with a different organization that works to end gun violence and provide resources to those affected by gun violence. Whatever kind of help you need, there's a person for you to contact. Listen to Living for We wherever you get your local podcasts or watch the video version on Idea Stream's YouTube channel. Subscribe today to Living for We on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. So, Mike, you talked to Shaun King again, and we are going to break down some Tyler Shough.
Shough. Do we want to watch the Shaun King thing first, then give our thoughts? Or we want to give some thoughts, then play Shaun King?
Let's hear what Shaun King has to say. Tyler Shough is an older. How old is he?
He's 25. He'll be 26 in September.
Yeah, obviously pretty old for a rookie quarterback. Not Brandon Weeden old,
Brandon
but
Weeden
close.
was 28, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I was all on board with that.
Why did we do that?
I was all on board with Brandon Weeden. I was convinced he was going to be good.
You want to hear the craziest Tyler Shough thing real quick?
Yeah. Are you serious right
I did.
now?
I thought he'd be good.
Is that the same year that we took Justin Gilbert, too?
No, Gilbert was Manziel, wasn't it?
Was it Manziel?
I
knew he
Gilbert
came in with a
Manziel,
quarterback. I just couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
Before we play the thing for Shaun King, Shough was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon. To give you an idea of
That's
his
how
age.
long he's been around.
I do have some Tyler Shough thoughts, though, but let's listen to Shaun King
let's
first.
hear what Sean's breakdown on him.
Continuing on down your top 5 quarterback prospects here, Shaun, is Tyler Shough out of Louisville. He's played 7 years of college football. He does have an extensive injury history. But if you took out all of those things and just looked at the 2024 tape, Shaun, you have a hard time finding some better tape than this kid's.
You're absolutely right. And when you see the success that the older guys had last year, you know, your Bo Nix, your Michael Penix, who came in played later. Tyler is kind of had the same career. Started at Oregon, went to Texas Tech, couldn't really get a full-time starting job because either the incumbent was really good or when he got a chance, he got injured. Finally found a home last year at Louisville. And although the numbers don't jump off the screen, the film does. And if you're going to go ahead and roll this here, first of all, he's the biggest quarterback in this class, just coming from the combine. He measured right under 6'5". Actually went out and ran low 4.6s. So he's a big guy with athleticism. And, man, when you watch this tape, if you just take all the names off of all these quarterbacks, Tyler has some of the best tape. I mean, this is big time here. Under pressure, I mean, that's just a throw that most guys wouldn't attempt to make, and even fewer guys could actually make. So he's going to be a fascinating evaluation for pro teams. I think the first thing with Tyler is, how does your training staff view his medical history? Are any of the injuries something that you think are going to linger and be a problem? But when it just comes to the best that he's shown, it's as good as Cam Ward. Let me just say that.
Second clip here from Tyler Shough, Shaun, and you said it in the last one. I'm going to reemphasize this. Blind resume, if these were just black and white dots and you saw the tape, throws like this from Tyler Shough can compare to any throw from any quarterback in this class.
And I know we're talking Tyler here, but it's one of the reasons that, you know, if I was advising Shedeur Sanders, I would be honest with him. Man, if we don't ace this process, we might not be the second quarterback selected. We got to roll the film. First of all, Tyler's bigger. Tiger has a better arm, and he makes throws like this all the time when you break down the Louisville tape. I mean, this is a dime for a right-handed quarterback rolling to his left to throw that ball with that ball location and that velocity. Look, this ball isn't dying on the wide receiver. I think this is Ja'Cory Harris, Alabama transfer too.
Yep.
I mean, that ball is right on the button. And listen, Louisville got off to a hot start this year. You know, they faltered a little bit when they played teams with more talent than them. But Tyler had a really, really impressive year when you look at the elite component of what he's able to do throwing the football. He's going to walk in a building. He's going to be physically more impressive than some of those other guys. And I would not be surprised at all if Tyler ends up being the second quarterback selected in this year's draft.
Shaun, to put the touch on that pass rolling left, throwing across your body. That's all the no-nos that coaches say don't do. But if you got arm talent like that, you can get away with some things that most quarterbacks simply cannot.
And I'll be honest, the reason that I think he has a chance to make this extremely competitive with Shedeur is his floor, to me, is higher based on the film than Shedeur's. Like, Shedeur's got some bad tape out there from this past year. I mean, where he's not seeing the field clearly, where he's running around taking terrible sacks. The last time we saw him was his worst performance ever versus BYU in the bowl game. Like, even the games that Louisville lost, Tyler still looks like the best or one of the best players on the field. It's just Louisville's outmanned. They're outgunned from a personnel and talent standpoint. So it's going to be something to watch as we get closer and closer to draft day.
Final play here from Tyler Shough. This time we get the reverse end zone angle, Shaun, and it is another perfectly thrown touchdown pass from the 7th-year quarterback of the Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, he's had a long time to get it right, but boy, did he get it right. And I'll be honest with you, for a comparison, Kenny Pickett sort of had the same kind of career that Tyler did, but it wasn't the switching schools. It was he never really established himself as an NFL prospect until his final year of collegiate eligibility. To me, the difference between Kenny Pickett and Tyler Shough, Tyler's more talented. Like with Pickett, it was just production. Jordan Addison had a great year. It was big numbers. But to me, when you watch some of these throws, I mean, look at the ball location. It's against Miami. This was a back-and-forth game that, if not for a few turnovers by Louisville, if I'm not mistaken, in that game, they might have outgunned Cam Ward head-to-head. But I remember watching this game, and I challenge you guys to go and rewatch this game and tell me that you feel like there's a big difference between Cam Ward and Tyler Shough based on how they played in this game. I'm a big Tyler fan.
There you go. That's our buddy. And he really likes Tyler Shough.
Ty, I'll let you go first, yeah.
I mean,
Are you with Shaun on this?
Yeah. I mean, listen, when you look at that tape, man, some of them throws that he made, like to reverse. The first throw, going away from your throwing arm to square your feet up, know you about to get hit and throw a dot, like that's a big-time throw. And then the next one, you roll again to the opposite side of your throwing hand and throw a dime in the corner where only your guy can get it. Then the last one, you see the arm strength where he was able to fit it through 2 different defenders. Man, hey, I mean, listen. If it wasn't for the age and the injuries, like he would be.
Does the age really matter that much? To me, it's the injuries.
It's the injuries. I'm not as worried about the age. He's 26.
How old is Bo Nix?
I think Bo was 24 coming out. He's 25 now, so he's a year older than Bo Nix. But if you get a decade of good play from a quarterback, he'll be 36 in a decade. That's how old Matt Stafford's here.
I understand the injury part too, but like the tape just looked good, and then he had all those injuries already.
So Greg Cassell, who I know you like
picked
a lot.
him as the second best
he had
quarterback.
Him above Shedeur.
Yeah.
I do think, and I like Shedeur a little more personally.
Yeah.
So I want to preface what I'm going to say with I like Shedeur a little more than Tyler Shough. But if you do look at simply just the tape, and I said it to Shaun in the breakdown, if you took the nameplates off and just black and white silhouettes of everybody, some of the throws he makes are absurd. Simply absurd. He's bigger than both Cam and Sanders.
Yeah.
He's athletic, ran a 4.6.
Yeah,
he's going to run again at his pro day at Louisville. He's going to run well again. He's got a gun. He was a 4-star recruit. It was a 5-star recruit by one service. So the kid's always had the talent. It's his inability to stay healthy, which worries me.
Yeah.
And
he had serious injuries in 21, 22, and 23.
All at Texas Tech, ironically.
Yeah.
So he transferred to Texas Tech, had 3 season-ending injuries in back-to-back seasons at Texas Tech.
This year at
went to Louisville, stayed healthy, played very well.
What were his numbers? Did he have huge numbers?
23 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, 7 interceptions.
Why weren't the numbers bigger? Is Louisville bad?
They were okay. Their offense teetered towards the end.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty balanced offensive attack and not a dynamic pass catcher room. But I like the tape. Todd McShay, who's going to be on with us in a little bit, he had Tyler Shough as a top 32 prospect on his big board.
Yeah.
He had Sanders higher, but he has Shough in the top 32. I don't think it's crazy if a team trades up and takes Shough at the end of the first round, but I think he's going to be an early day 2 pick.
Well, let me ask you this: if you were if I told you, gave you these 2 options, and maybe you don't think this is realistic, but let me throw this at you: at the end of the first round, or by the end of the 33rd pick, the Browns could have these 2 players on the Browns. I'm going to give you 2 sets of 2 pairs. Which would you take?
Travis Hunter and Tyler Shough.
That was one of them. The other is Shedeur Sanders and Travion Henderson.
Ooh.
I swear to God, that's one of the topics I had on the list for tomorrow. Read the
Really?
first topic on this list.
Would you rather have Sanders at 2 or Carter and Hunter? And I threw in the other player, but yes, same question. Would you rather have Sanders and say Travion Henderson? I just kind of picked him out of scratch. I don't know that they would take a running back there. Or would you rather have Travis Hunter and Shough?
Okay, see, let me
parse it out. Parse it out. Yeah.
Parse it out.
Talk it out.
No. Let me. Can I trade Travion for Mecca Egbuka?
Yes, absolutely.
Because he potentially could.
Okay.
Be there.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
At 33.
So Emeka Egbuka
and
Shedeur. Or Shough and Travis Hunter. I guess the question is, what's the bigger gap?
Is the gap closer between Shedeur and Cam?
No, that's not.
Or between Shedeur and Shough?
I'm not paying attention. This is about Travis and Emeka for me. That's where I'm at with this because.
Is it?
Because Travis plays defense too. That's the only thing.
Right, but is it? You ultimately want the better quarterback.
Yeah.
If you think Shedeur is better, but none of us know for sure, right?
No.
Like, even if you think Shedeur is better than Tyler Shough, you probably think, okay, maybe it's a 60% chance he's better or a 70%. There's no way anybody can be 100% certain that he's going to be better. Whereas, I think we'd all be surprised if Egbuka was a better NFL player than Hunter, no?
Yes.
For the Cleveland Browns.
Yes. Is Shough a pocket player, basically?
Yeah.
He's a pocket passer that has athleticism, exactly.
So both quarterbacks kind of fits the fantasy.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think I might go to Travis and Tyler Shough route, which sounds absurd to hear me say.
You just told us
I don't think that's absurd.
No, because I just said that I'm on the Shedeur Sanders at 2 thing.
Yeah, I'm on board with it too.
But the reason being is because I just go back to Kevin. I always got to think about with the Browns, and I think if we're gonna go back to Kevin Stefanski's offense, because who was on? Ross Tucker was talking about it yesterday with Jalen Milroe. He was like, think about running that play action, that boot. You got a quarterback you got one read. You got this over route. If that over route is covered, you could take off. Well, we know with Tyler Shough running a 4.6. He has that option to do that.
I don't want him running with the injury history, though.
I
want him being protective of himself.
He's
not running like Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, no, he ain't.
I'm just saying.
He ain't taking hits.
You got to listen. The quarterback's got to run sometime.
All I'm saying is, if it's 1st and 10, and we call a play action boot on the first play, on the 1st and 10, and they cover the over route, 2nd and 6 is much better than 2nd and 10.
Fact.
So I'm thinking from that standpoint. And to think about having a guy like Travis, if people think that Travis is the best player in this draft, there's some people that say he is hands down the best player. I know people feel about Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Some people think it's Travis Hunter. But to say that you got the best player in the draft and you got a quarterback that can come in, that can make all the throws, but maybe has some injury history. But if you protect him, which the offensive line is aging, so I give you that. But if you protect him, he's good enough to make every throw, and you can call anything you want and go back to Kevin and he can run it to perfection. Why would you not? But I will say with Shedeur, obviously he's running his offense from Pat Shurmur, who taught Kevin what he knows. We even showed the play yesterday where I told y'all he ran the bang 8. He ran the RPO boom through the bang 8. That's Kevin Stefanski and that was Amari Cooper's bread and butter.
Right.
So Shedeur already knows all of that stuff, so you really wouldn't have to teach him anything. He kind of knows. He just got to go under center. Which
what do you think the percentage chance is that Shedeur Sanders ends up being the best quarterback in this draft? If you had to put a number on it.
The percentage chances?
Yeah, that he ends up being the best quarterback in this draft.
35%.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, what do you think the percentage chances that Tyler Shough ends up being the best quarterback in the draft?
10 to 15?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I mean, is Tyler Shough more skilled as a quarterback than Shedeur Sanders?
Arm talent-wise?
Yes.
Overall, not just arm, like the whole package.
So the one thing that I didn't get into is Shaun, and I didn't hear Greg get into, because I went back and listened to Greg's thing before I did the Shaun thing, because I wanted to come into it with Shedeur, we always got the mental part of Shedeur is where it's at. He can read defenses. He sees and anticipates at a high level. A lot of the intangibles, you mentioned the Joe Burrow comparison yesterday. Shough has played in 3 different systems. Played in Oregon system, played in Texas Tech system, played in Louisville's system. He played a ton, or maybe not played a ton because he sat out a ton of games, but had been in college football for 7 seasons.
How many games has he actually played? I mean, it has to be. I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So neither Shaun nor Greg touched on the mental side and the mental makeup of Shough. I'm not sure if he came into all those reads at Texas Tech, Oregon, Louisville, wherever, with a predetermined one-read system, or if he was able to survey the field, make changes at the line of scrimmage like we know Shedeur did. And without that information, I can't give like a full evaluation on what I think Shough's true ceiling and potential is, because that's arguably as important as the arm talent is on the NFL level.
Just said he didn't play at the Senior Bowl.
That was the East-West Shrine Bowl. I'm looking at Google. I don't know.
By the way, Shough played 42 games, technically played 42 games, but he didn't really, because he played legitimate 12 games last year. He's played legitimately 34 Games.
Which is a good.
The first 8 games, he looks like he played like one play a game.
That's a decent sample.
That's a good. But I don't know.
He threw 951 college football passes. That's a pretty good amount.
Good sample size.
That's 3 seasons, essentially.
What was his touchdowns to picks ratio?
Touchdowns to picks for his career.
Yeah.
This year was excellent, 23-6.
Okay.
But for his career, 59-23.
So 3 to 1.
Completion percentage career 63%. Not great.
That's not great.
The touchdown to interception ratio is, it's okay.
I lied. I'm taking Shedeur and Mecca.
The numbers don't impress you. I mean, they don't blow you away.
It's really the last year. What he did at Louisville.
This past year at Louisville, but his completion percentage was still low. It was 63%. 23 touchdowns, obviously very good. Only 6 picks, very good.
Yeah.
Yards per attempt was 8.2.
It's not bad.
Yards per catch, 13.1, and he averaged 266.3 yards per game. So, good numbers. Not amazing, but good numbers.
I switched my answer. Shedeur and Mecca would be my
I want to
answer.
hear from Todd McShay is the only reason this guy seems to be discarded, is it just the age and the injuries? Because if those are the only reasons, you got to seriously consider him at some point. If those are the only reasons, especially because the injuries were bone injuries.
Yeah.
Now, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. But bone injuries more often are freak injuries as opposed to maybe a systemic problem.
And Todd's high on Shough, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
He has 4 quarterbacks in his top 32. He doesn't believe the top-tier talent at the quarterbacks. And
Right.
I like Todd. For the record, I think he's one of the guys that I listen to more than a lot of the draft guys.
Yeah.
So if I'm a little biased by it,
sure.
so be it. But I admit I listen
But
to
he had those 3, and who's the 4th? Jackson Dart?
Jackson Dart was the 4th. And he had Jackson Dart and Shough at 29-30 or 30-31 in his top 32, and then Sanders in the 15 range, and then Cam Ward was a top 5 prospect for him.
I mean, if the bottom line is, if Shedeur Sanders is the 15th best player in this draft, if you really think
take him at 2.
You take him at 2.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't, for some people that doesn't add up, but you're picking 2. You're not picking 15. Sorry. If you think he's a legitimate first-round player, but there's other guys who are better, well, those other guys don't play as important a position.
I'm trying to see.
It's a tough call. In a perfect world, the Browns could get Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, but
and there was a time where I thought that could be possible.
Yeah.
There's no world where Shedeur's fallen past 3 now. None. Zero.
I think that's very likely the case. I agree with you.
Where he's not falling past 3.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree.
the Giants, if the Browns don't take him, the Giants will.
I think Cam Ward 100% is going 1. I think there's a chance it's not the Titans.
Have you seen the Vegas line now?
No.
He's like minus 450 to be.
Yeah. But the thing in terms of Shough, the age doesn't bother me. He's just going to turn 26 in September.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's not that old.
No.
There's no reason, if he's good and if he stays healthy, those are both big ifs. There's no reason he can't be a great player for 10 years. When you draft a quarterback, I don't know that you're thinking, I'm going to have this guy for 15 years. You get if the Browns got a quarterback to play at a high level for 10 years, I think we'd all sign for it right now.
I think it's
Joe Burrow was drafted when he was 25. So
that's not.
What are y'all trying
to? 4 years ago, right?
What are y'all trying to accomplish next year with the Browns?
This will be Joe's 6th.
What are you trying to accomplish?
21,
he was 23.
I gotta know.
He was.
This will be a 6. You're right. I thought it was 4.
23 when he was drafted. Yeah.
My fault.
But the point, what was Bo Nix? 24, 25? I mean,
if you get a decade with Tyler Shough, it doesn't matter.
The injuries, I get it. The age, I think, is overstated. But go ahead. Sorry.
What are you trying to accomplish with the Browns next year, like this upcoming season?
Well, the number one thing is to get the best quarterback I can possibly can. Now, ultimately, I'm not an aficionado on draft picks to know personally whether or not any of these quarterbacks are going to be true difference makers in the NFL. If they're not, I wouldn't take any of them. It seems to me that there's at least a chance that Shedeur or Tyler Shough could be difference makers in the NFL. I'm not sure. I don't know well enough. But if they are, then I would absolutely consider them certainly drafting them in the first round. But in a perfect world, you'd be able to get one of those two guys and Travis Hunter. But that's probably not obviously getting Hunter and Sanders is impossible.
Yeah.
Could you get Hunters and Shough? Yeah, I think that's probably doable.
Or
Browns
Dart,
might have to trade up into the bottom of the first round.
I think there is a world where if they don't go Sanders at 2 and they take Carter or Hunter, regardless of what your preference is, that they end up trading from 33 up to 18, 19 to get ahead of Pittsburgh to take their second quarterback of choice. Or their third quarterback of choice.
I just think it ultimately comes down to which one can you live without? Which one could you be okay?
You can't live without a quarterback.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
But you got to believe that quarterback can be a franchise changer.
If
not,
Browns,
you don't take him.
And whether it's not Sanders, let's say the Browns love Shough or love Jackson Dart. If they feel like any one of those guys is the franchise-changing quarterback, that's the pick at 2.
The one thing about this Jackson Dart guy,
and he's tomorrow's Shaun King.
He's been healthy. And he's got everybody talks about it. He's the most toolsy guy. And why wasn't he more productive? I don't like guys that the guy's the perfect athlete. He's the perfect quarterback and physically. Well, why wasn't he productive more?
Well, he's our breakdown with Shaun King tomorrow. So you'll hear what Shaun thinks about him.
I guess he was more productive than I thought. So what's his problem? He didn't have a great year this past year, right?
He had up and down. He did get hurt for a little bit.
He had I think
ankle
he said
injury.
an ankle sprain.
Yeah, he had an ankle injury that knocked him out a little bit.
All right, Todd McShay.
We don't have our guest yet.
Yeah.
So I do have a Guardians topic if you guys want to hit on some Guardians, or do you want to fill with something else here?
No, let's talk about the Guardians for a minute.
Okay.
No, let's Mayor Bibb responded real quick.
Let's talk about that.
Oh,
just for a second till Todd hops in,
let me read this. You got it from Mayor Bibb?
I got it up right here.
I'll read it, Anthony. The Haslams made misleading statements about the diligent work the city has done over the past 3 years to revitalize the lakefront, protect taxpayer dollars, and keep football on the lakefront. They want to squander taxpayer dollars to invest over $1 billion into a domed stadium in Brook Park while openly violating state law. It continues to say here, we have offered a viable proposal to keep the Browns playing on the lakefront in a reimagined stadium as the centerpiece of a huge lakefront development for half the cost to the public of the dome in Brook Park. The Haslam scheme pays for itself on the backs of fans. The Haslams need to raise your taxes, make it more expensive for you to attend games, and steal events away from downtown Cleveland to pay for their stadium. The Haslam Stadium ploy raises more questions than it answers and makes wild assumptions that will crush taxpayers. Now, listen, I like Mayor Bibb. I don't like the rhetoric back and forth.
The Haslam scheme?
Haslam
scheme? Bro, that's a shot.
Of course it is.
A direct.
This is getting ugly. It's ugly between the Haslams and the city. It's really ugly. And it's bad for everybody.
I think we got
Let's
Todd
talk
in the
some
queue.
football. Yep. Todd McShay is with us. Get back to it.
Yeah, before we bring Todd in real
stuff.
quick, I want to do a quick reminder that memberships are available, guys.
Yeah.
For $1.99, you can do your starters tier. For $4.99, you get overtime. And we're doing a pretty fun overtime today that I've been teasing to Mike all morning. So make sure you get your memberships today. And now, welcome our guest.
Todd McShay is with us, well-known NFL draft analyst, the Todd McShay Show. Todd, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And
good to be here, man. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. And we watched your clip earlier when you were talking about how Shedeur Sanders would be a great fit with Kevin Stefanski. You made the point of the pocket quarterbacks that have had success with Kevin Stefanski, and you're right. And everything you said in that video made a lot of sense. But my question is, independently of Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. How good a player do you believe Shedeur Sanders is going to be in the NFL?
I think he's going to be a solid to good starter. I don't think he has the traits to be, in the elite class when we start talking about the Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and some of the names that we all know, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. So I think what you're looking at is a quarterback who, when protected, when playing on schedule, he's a brilliant processor as a passer, and he's fun to watch in terms of just the way he layers the football, his anticipation as a passer. That's why I think, and I know you're asking me independent, but to be in a system where you have a head coach or an offensive coordinator that can bring out the best in a quarterback, and that's not everywhere, I promise you.
Yeah.
But to be in that kind of system, it will work. And we talked so much leading up to the draft about the traits and who the player is and big arm, mobile, accurate as a passer, all those things. But history tells us so much of it comes down to, especially the quarterback position, what situation does he get drafted into? Is it a situation like Cleveland where they have some protection? They have some weapons. They've got a damn good defense. And they have, most importantly, a coach that can bring out the best and maximize what he does best in his traits and his skill set. So last year, he's probably the 5th, 6th quarterback taken, right? And this year, he's going to be the 2nd quarterback by all accounts. But I can tell you this, there are some people in the league who think Jackson Dart, that there's not a big gap between those two. Some people in the league think there's not a huge gap between Cam Ward and Shedeur. More people in the league think that there's a sizable gap in terms of the traits and what there is to work with in terms of development. And Tyler Shough, I think, is the most underrated quarterback in the entire class. And I think he's got a chance when we look back 3-4 years from now, coming out of Louisville after 3 different stops in 7 years and all that he's had to endure and the maturing that he's done. It won't shock me if we say he's, maybe the 2nd best quarterback from this class. So it'll be interesting. We can get into it, but it's going to be really tough to pass on the best player in this draft in Abdul Carter, right? And to think about the potential of him versus opposite Myles Garrett and what that could do defensively for you. And then you start thinking about, okay, if we take Abdul Carter at 2 and then we take a move up for a Jackson Dart or we take Tyler Shough in round 2, that's a better combination than taking Shedeur at 2 and whatever pass rusher or other player we're going to get in round 2. So I think that's why we continue to see Cleveland trying to look in the veteran market, see what's available. Can they make this work? But you got to remember, they are in absolute purgatory because of the Deshaun Watson contract. So this may truly be the best out for Stefanski and for Andrew Berry.
There's so much to follow up on what you just said there, but I think I'll go with this because I was just asking these guys, similar to what you just said. I said to them, would you rather have Shedeur Sanders, and we went with a Mecca Ibuka, but it could be certainly a pass rusher or whoever you take at 33, or would you rather, I said Travis Hunter because that's who would be my choice, but whatever, you take it to, and then take one of these, either Jackson Dart, and we were talking specifically about Shough. In your mind, what is the better combination for the Browns in the long term?
Probably the route of taking Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at 2 and then taking Tyler Shough. But you got to remember, Jackson Dart's not going to be there. By all accounts, everyone I'm talking to in the league, I think 9's a little rich for New Orleans, but I do think somewhere in that 15 to 25 range, whether it's Pittsburgh taking him at 21 or a team trading back into the first round to get him. So now we're talking about Tyler Shough or Will Howard if you want later on day 2. But you have to believe in the quarterback, right? And I do believe in Tyler Shough. I don't know if Cleveland does.
Right.
And so if Cleveland's there's only 3 quarterbacks in this draft, and there are some people in the league who believe that. And some people think there's only 2. So if Cleveland's of that mindset, given their salary cap situation, and it ain't going to change next year.
That's right.
And if they're picking this high again next year, do Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski still have their job? So there's an element of that too Like we've got to win enough games this year so that we're back picking and in control of this organization next year. So that's why I think there's this combination of we got to draft our rookie, whether it's in the first or second round, but who's going to win us the most games this year while we have a talented roster. And if we just get average to like slightly above average quarterback play, we're probably going to be in the playoff mix. So that's the tightrope I think that they're kind of walking right now.
Todd, let me ask you, why is it that you feel Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft? Because a lot of people think it could be Travis Hunter. Why do you feel Abdul Carter is the best?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
Travis Hunter is he is a generational talent. We hear that thrown around because there truly has never been anyone like him. And people will go back to Deion Sanders, and people go back to Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey and some other guys who came out who played both sides of the ball and were very successful doing it and had impacts, I should say. But at the end of the day, and I got to look up these numbers again, but I looked it up, and I think it was around 60 catches Deion had in his entire career, or offensive touches, something along that line. Obviously, in the return game, he was massive. Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson had like 5 or 6 catches combined. So we're not talking – we've never seen this before. And so that then begs the question, with load management and modern technology and science and nutrition and health, the care of bodies, can there be a load management situation put in place, program put in place, where we can actually capitalize on the fact that this guy truly is special? And I think that's the question every organization drafting at the top is asking themselves. How would we manage it so that we can get – because if you just get him as a receiver, you're getting Garrett Wilson, and that's a damn good player, okay? But if you can get impact plays on both sides of the ball, that's something we haven't really seen. And so if you believe in doing that and you believe you have the right infrastructure in place, then, yeah, I'm taking Travis Hunter, because he's got a chance to do something different than anyone else we've ever seen. But if not, and you're worried, okay, he's had the shoulder injury, he's kind of got a slighter frame, will he hold up if he's playing full-time corner and playing some installs each week on offense? I think that's kind of the juggling act, whereas I know what Abdul is. It's the second most important thing in football. Outside of the quarterback, getting to the quarterback, affecting the quarterback is the second most important thing in football, and he does it better than anyone else in this class. And he does it at like elite level. We've talked about with guys coming out, like, whether it's Khalil Mack or the Boses or, Myles Garrett. He's up there in that level. Now, does he have the size of some of those guys? No, there's a little concern. Does he have the foot injury that you're kind of working through and you're hoping he works out his pro day? Yep, got to work through that. Did he have the shoulder in the postseason? Yep, got to work through that. But as a player, I know exactly what I'm getting. And that is a vicious, skilled, fast, explosive, bendy pass rusher who's going to absolutely succeed in the NFL.
Todd, appreciate you coming on. Jay Crawford's usually on the show. He's not on today, but he wanted me to tell you to say hello. So
yeah, I miss Jay, man.
Jay
how's he doing? You guys handling him all right?
He's wrong every
He's
day.
out of control.
He's lost in the soup.
He wanted to pay Jameis Winston $25 million a year after 2 games.
That sounds right. That sounds right. At least he hasn't changed, man. I like consistency.
Not at all.
No, he's also convinced Will Howard should be the first quarterback.
He thinks Will Howard's the best quarterback in the draft, too.
Go Bucks.
I'll save that
He's
question.
loyal. He's loyal, if nothing else. And
Definitely loyal.
I love Jay. I miss working with him.
And if you guys don't check out the McShay Show and follow the McShay Report, Google the McShay Report. Todd talks about how he hates selling it, so Todd, I'll sell it for you real quick, but just Google the McShay Report. It is well worth your time. One of the best draft assets you can have out there. But Todd, this morning on 92.3, the radio station, Brian Hoyer was on with Ken and Lima, and he said he would take Joe Milton over any of the quarterbacks in this draft. And I am not an expert, so I wanted to ask you this. Joe Milton, obviously 6th-round pick out of Tennessee last year, played great in that Week 18 game against Buffalo. But is he on the same level of quarterbacks in terms of future prospects as Cam Ward, Shador, and the other guys we've mentioned, or is Brian Hoyer out on a limb on this one? I
love Brian. I had a higher grade on Brian. I'll give you a Brian Hoyer story. I sat in the in Radio City Music Hall, I don't know, 15, 17 years ago, whatever it was. And I had a 3rd-round grade on Brian. And I remember there were some lunatics still in day 3 is an interesting place to be especially back in the old days of the Radio City Music Hall. It was my first year on television doing the draft. And I've got all these guys like clumped in a corner by my sets, just chanting Brian Hoyer, because we're now in like round 5. He hasn't gone. So I've always liked Brian. I hear what he's saying, like what you saw last week or last season at the end of the year, week 18. It's awfully intriguing, man. There's no competing with that arm. He's got a lot to work with. I just know the evaluation coming out. There was a lot of concern about, like, is he seeing the entire picture? When NFL teams had a full season and then a next season to kind of pick up on his clues and his tendencies, does he come back down to earth a little bit? He's got a lot of developing still to do. He had a lot of developing to do, and I think that year of sitting back and learning certainly helped him. You could see that in week 18. I'm not saying that I think it would be a good investment. I would throw a 3rd, 4th round pick at New England and bring him in and develop him if I truly believe that I have the right quarterback coach and or offensive coordinator. But to say I'd take him over the guys in this class, I would respectfully disagree.
Todd, when you look at the Browns, they have a ton of draft picks. I believe it's 12 now after they traded the 1 to Pickett, but in days 1 and 2, they have 4 picks. 2, 33, something in the 60s, and then 94, which is the pick they got from Amari Cooper. I know you don't love mock drafts this far out, but in theory, what does a perfect A-plus grade first 2 days of the draft look like for the Browns? I know spots can change, but what do you think a perfect haul for the Cleveland would be on those first 2 days?
Well, shameless plug. I do have Mock 2.0 coming out tomorrow, so if you do want to subscribe to the McShay report, now is a pretty good time to do it.
Timing.
I set you up.
Yeah.
You did. Thank you. Again, like that combination thing is so tantalizing, right? Is it Abdul Carter, the best player in the draft, arguably, or Travis Hunter, the top 2 players in the draft, with a Tyler Shough? The problem with that is, first of all, if you believe in Shedeur and you really think that – I said this before. Andrew Berry's best asset in this entire salary cap hell that he's in is his head coach, because there's not many guys in the league that are capable of working with quarterbacks that don't have those elite set of skills, if you will, that can bring the most out of them and win a lot of games and have a proven track record doing so. So I've got to lean on Kevin. And if Kevin says, hey, I can do what I did with, Kirk Cousins, and I could do what I did, winning 11 games and 10 games and all he did with the Vikings and moving forward. If he believes in that, then it's absolutely Shedeur Sanders. If he's kind of on the fence, like, yeah, I hope, but I'm not sure, then it's, hey, let's take the best player. Let's be smart. And then hopefully Tyler Shough's there. And if our intel says that he might not be, maybe we trade up a few spots. But that's how I would approach this thing. Regardless, I'd like to bring in another pass rusher, but it's more the luxury and the opportunity of Abdul sitting there at number 2, the best player in this draft. I think when you look at it, I certainly think linebacker is a position that they could address at some point. I mean, there's Carson Schwessinger from UCLA. He's probably going to be later 2nd round. There's Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, who's a really good player, and there's a whole bunch of them in the 4th round range. So I think that's one spot they could go. I look at the nice part is they've done some decent stuff in free agency. They've got a good roster. I would look at another weapon as well, at wide receiver. So those are the areas I would go. You've got 4 picks, and to be quite honest with you, I think the draft is a lot stronger in rounds 2, 3, and 4 than it is even, in terms of value in the first round. So the more picks I can get in rounds 3, 4, and 5, I think the better chance you have of walking away from this draft with a handful of players rather than just packaging picks, moving up and relying on one of these guys at the top to be such a difference maker that it doesn't matter that you didn't have a 2nd or a 4th round pick.
Todd, I want to get more into Tyler Shough, but before we do that, 9 years ago, a little-known defensive back out of Ohio State by the name of Tyvis Powell went undrafted, but played a number of years both in Seattle and San Francisco. Do you remember grading Tyvis, and would you have drafted him? I think he should have been drafted.
Be honest, Todd.
I had a late 5th on you.
See, everybody did.
I did.
Everybody did.
But I was surprised you didn't get drafted, and I was wrong too, right?
Yeah,
I was wrong too. So
it worked out. It worked out for the best.
I had a second on you for what it's worth.
Huh?
I had a second
Richard Sherman's his best
that.
friend, although we can't get Richard Sherman on the show. But
oh my goodness,
you know how that goes.
Yeah. Anyway, the question about Tyler Shough, because I'm not a phony. I don't know enough about him. So my question is, are the criticisms about him just the injury and the age, or is there more to it? Because to me, if it's just the injury and the age, but if he stays healthy, this guy's going to be really good, then I'm all in. But is there more to it than that?
Let me give you a little bit on Shough, because
okay.
I think he's the most, and I know his name's popping up now, but I don't hear anyone like really diving into who he is.
Yeah.
This is a man who he was Justin Herbert's backup.
Yeah.
His freshman year in Oregon, okay?
Yeah.
He won the starting job, had a pretty good first year, hit some bumps, new regime comes in, gets injured. Winds up going to Texas Tech, wins the starting job, goes out there ready to go, injured. A third time, injured. Finally, after 6 years, for a seventh year, I think it was, gets to Louisville, gets with two coaches in the Brahms that actually know how to develop quarterbacks. 1 year with them. So all year long, I'm watching obviously the guys at Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, right? Yeah. I'm watching Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who returned wisely, but I think he's going to be a high draft pick next year. Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, right? All these guys. So I've gotten like Will Howard. I've gotten like 10 deep on the quarterbacks, and then I see him on the list for the Senior Bowl. And I watched him, mostly watching like defensive players against him, and I knew he was in the class, so I would get to him eventually, and I'm like, oh, shit, Jim Nagy thought enough of him to bring him in the Senior Bowl, so I started watching a little tape before. Then I get to the Senior Bowl, and I'm like, this guy's he's maybe outperforming Jackson Dart in some of these things. Not all, but some of these, some of the areas. He's got a stronger arm than Shedeur Sanders. He's in the same class as Jackson Dart, maybe stronger. In the same neighborhood as Cam Ward. He's more mobile, I think, than Cam Ward. He's definitely more mobile than Shedeur Sanders. Yeah. Okay, he's bigger, right? So let's dig into the history here. So then I start to talk to scouts, and they're like, like really mature, impressed with him. He's grown up a lot and all that. Then I come back and I watch the tape, and I really dig in like I did with all those other 10 or so quarterbacks. And I'm like, he's as talented as anyone in this class, maybe a notch below Cam Ward. But why aren't we talking about him more? And then it's like, well, the injuries, and he's going to be 25 years old and all those things. Then I actually sat down with him for an hour. I talked to him before, and then I interviewed him and talked to him a little bit after. Playing the quarterback position is so much mental and maturity and knowing who you are as a human being and trusting in your leadership and trusting in your experiences. And I'm telling you, it was one of the most impressive hours I've spent with a quarterback, and I've spent somewhere between 20 to an hour to 2 hours with every top quarterback you can think of, dating back to like my first years, like Tom Brady, okay? Mm-hmm. This guy's different. I think all of the things that were negative in college, he's learned from. He's had hardship. He was one of the guys, right? He was in the same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence. He was like 5-star, and everyone wanted him. And he went to Oregon. He was going to be the next, right? He was all those things. He was going to be the next Justin Herbert. And every time he was about to explode on the scene, it was an injury. Well, let's look at the injuries. There are 3 bone breaks. Yep. These are not like ACL tears or Achilles ruptures or backs. They're bone breaks. And yes, you worry, is this going to happen again? And his style of play is overly aggressive. He's learned to protect himself, but still can do a better job. And he can be a little bit careless at times. But I'm telling you, the development he had this past year, he's got the tools, he's got the traits. And honestly, the most impressive and important thing to me is he has been through all these wars. He knows who he is. And it's like he's playing on house money. And I love a quarterback who's got that kind of mentality because he's got a chip, but he's mature enough to know how to manage all of that's going on inside and between his ears. I think he's going to be an absolute steal in this class. I really do.
I'm all in.
I'm about to say, you definitely sold him.
Todd McShay,
Definitely sold him. After watching the tape, I was like, man, listen, I can take him in the second or third.
Shaun King is a regular contributor on our show, the former quarterback, and he didn't really know much about him either. And then he watched the tape, and he was just like you. He didn't get a chance to interview him, but he was really blown away by his team. So.
Yeah, he's going to be an interesting one to track over the next few years.
Todd, let's get you out on this one. Obviously, the run with Nick Chubb has seemed to come to an end. I know you've done running backs. Who should the Browns look to get in those mid-rounds?
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't mention that before when asked, so I'm glad you circled back on that. I think this is the year to do it, man. I don't know if anyone watched the Combine. All these positions, the top guys weren't working out. Nash and Ginty didn't work out. But it was like the old days with like the defensive linemen where they all just, lunch pail, walk in the gym. Yeah, let's go. Let's everyone works out. The competition between all of these guys, the record-setting average 40 time of 4.48, just reflective of the tape. It's like an experience watching because you get done with Ginty and you're like, my goodness, like he's just different. Then you get to Omari and Hampton and you're like, wait a second, is he as good as the other guy? And then you get done with him and you get put on the Ohio State tape. And I've been watching Travion for a while, and I've been watching Judkins for a while, and their blocking wasn't like as good as I promise you this, their blocking was good, but like the level of competition they were playing in the postseason, they weren't blocked up as much as Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Okay, and so they were earning things. And to see them blocking, I know you guys have seen it. Like, you want to get inspired when you're watching 20 running backs that could go in the first 4 rounds, and they're like, oh, it's starting to like all run together. You're looking for separators. To see Judkins out there blocking for Travion Henderson, and Henderson out there blocking for Will Howard with like it's the last play of their entire careers, and to see that explosiveness that both of them have, especially Judkins, man. Travion's the explosive one, right? Well, Judkins, I don't know that there's a faster back from the snap of the ball through the hole than Judkins. And he's not just this power back. So those 4 guys are on like a different level. And then you get to Caleb Johnson from Iowa and you're like, he's pretty damn good too. And then Scadaboo from Arizona State, I kind of was like, yeah, I see it. He's a grinder, he's a power back, but is that going to hold up? Is he light enough? And then I watched his tape after watching those other 5, and I'm like, shoot, the gap isn't as far off from him and Caleb Johnson and Johnson from those Ohio State guys. So now you get 6 backs. All they're going to go in the first 2 rounds probably that project to be starting every down backs in the league. And then you get past that into the rounds 3 and 4, and you've got like little guys like R.J. Harvey from UCF and Rashard Smith from SMU and the Tennessee kid. Dylan Sampson is super quick, undersized, but quick and tough and pass pro and all that. So this class is loaded at running back. And I'm not saying to wait. If the opportunity's there, I'm taking Henderson late in the first. I promise you. I'm taking Judkins in the top 40 if it fits for what we're looking to do. But I also know if I can't, that I'm getting a really good player in the 3rd and the 4th and maybe some guys in the 5th.
Awesome, Todd. We appreciate you coming on. Make sure you check out the McShay Report.
Got it, guys.
2 episodes per week, and I'll do the promo again for Todd. $4 for this year's draft, $36 for this year's and next year's draft. Well worth the money. Todd, appreciate you coming on.
Awesome insight. Thank you,
I appreciate you guys.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
Awesome.
great.
That was Todd McShay. We got Super Chats to wrap up today's show, and
go ahead,
all
Anthony.
you.
Yeah, guys, our first Super Chat today comes from Salvatore the 216. Mobley raises the floor, and Donovan Mitchell raises the ceiling. Second one here from Halim Youssef. It's reasonable that Deshaun Watson wants to rehab his image. He wants another shot in the NFL. He'll have to be a good citizen in the locker room, and if he mentors a new quarterback, it will help him get a shot somewhere else.
Okay, next.
And the last one, also from Salvatore 216. Bull, thank you for the rant. It made my month.
You're welcome. I don't know which one, but
I think it was the Deshaun one.
Okay.
Halim has a point, though. He's trying to rehab his image, too, and it's going to help. It can't hurt him.
Let's follow up on Todd McShay for a minute.
Who was great,
here.
by the way. Yeah.
Todd McShay was awesome.
Yeah, he was. Everybody here
I
on time.
really wanted that inside. His analysis of Shough it was pretty fascinating. I would be comfortable. Listen, I'm all on board with Shedeur Sanders being drafted too. I think we're all on board.
I told you, it's 4 picks: Cam, Shedeur, Abdul, or Travis.
Yeah.
You do those 4 at 2, I'm good.
But if they take Abdul Carter or my preference, Travis Hunter,
and trade up and get Shough?
Get Shough in the late first round. I'm on board with that too.
It don't make y'all I know it like people look at it like but they did sign the dude from the Buccaneers who was a first round edge, wasn't
he? JTS.
Yeah, JTS.
So, I don't
what
care.
about that?
I don't care. Abdul Carter.
I'm just saying
that wouldn't affect. I prefer Hunter because I want the guy. Because everybody's talking about Hunter as a DB, but Andrew Berry has said he'd play him on offense primarily.
Yeah.
So, but if they take Abdul Carter, okay, everybody seems to think he's going to be great. Fine, but we'll see.
One last thing on Shough, because I know we got to wrap up and get to overtime. People who genuinely study this, Cassell, loved him.
Yeah.
Shaun King did not know a lot about him. Watched the tape, loved him. McShay, I mean, talk about a ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
3 guys who I value their opinion on stuff that I'm not an expert in. All really seem to like this dude. So I think I'm talking myself into it.
Shough and Sanders both have a level of maturity and intelligence, both of them, that I'd be comfortable with. So we'll see you on overtime.
As long as it's one of them.